with seconds to spare.
Oh man, we're coming in this with such good energy. This is the best energy we've ever come into this podcast
Seconds to spare. Your life was saved.
Thanks, Wooly. I appreciate it.
Damn.
Wooly at the last second going, oh, dude, you got peanut butter all over your face.
All over.
It was gross.
You almost died.
And before that, I was sitting in a chair looking at the ceiling going, and Wooly messaged me going, hey, I'll be ready in a couple minutes. And I had the audacity to go, for what?
Yeah. See, usually the beard would have caught that peanut butter and hid it.
And saved it for later.
That's the thing, right? It actively, this is a demonstration in case in point of like, that's what the beard is for.
Mm-hmm. It's to hide all those delicious little food crumbs.
All right. Well,
so yeah, good energy today. Good. Hey, what's up? What's up? Who needs sleep? Fuck that. That's stupid. How's your sleep? That's great.
We're almost out. We're almost out of this.
We're almost out. Today's the last day of this year. You know, I actually saw a meme earlier today that was saying, I watched The Matrix in 99, and it said that 1999 was the peak of human civilization. And I was like, haha, yeah, right. And then the following years happened, and I'm like,
yeah. Yeah. I'm like, we've already on this podcast alone turned 1998 into the summer of 69.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's just
for gamers.
Yeah, absolutely. We've jumped that shark already, and it's been made clear. But I mean, again, you just go back to any of the segments and run down the list and go fuck, you know. It would be cool to have one of those again. It would be cool. And
2025's the new 1998-99. Let's go.
Which movies and or fiction are based in 2025? I know that 13 Sentinels had a 2024 bit, so we just blew past that. But which ones are we now?
I can't even
surpassing?
I know we've flown past like Mega Man 1.
Oh God, fuck you, absolutely.
Like ages ago.
Yeah, and Back to the Future and all that for sure.
Back to the Future 2 is now really funny.
Pacific Rim. It was Pacific Rim in 25? No way.
This is just a follow-up to last week when I said I think that Marvel 2099 was not placed far enough into the future.
Oh, yeah.
And I saw some folks say, but Pat, it was like it came around in like, you know, the 90s.
It was the 90s.
So it'd be like 100 years from now. I'm like, I think that's still not far enough in the future. I don't think Cyberpunk 2077 is far enough in the fucking future.
I mean, honestly, I think the sentiment is anyone that went 2-0 and then whatever number, it's like, yeah, that's happening right around the corner, actually. Just throw a one in there.
I will say, much beloved to my heart, Star Trek, in an episode released in like fucking 89, fucking shot for the goddamn moon and said that Ireland is going to reunify in 2024.
Jesus Christ.
So we got about fucking
minutes,
12 hours, no less, like 6 hours.
Oh my God.
Before Data looks like a stupid idiot.
Yeah, I think the if you set it in 2-0 at 20xdx, but you end up with a kind of like loopery sort of shit future, then you're fine, right? As long as
Looper was like really
the best,
really believable,
the best. Just like, hey, it looks like the world you live in, but that car is recycling its own fumes into its gas tank, and everything is just kind of more garbage.
I am being informed that the tabletop of Cyberpunk takes place in 2020.
Oof. Okay. Yeah.
So I guess CD Projekt agreed with me, and they were like, they should have fucking called that game should have been called Cyberpunk 2021.
Okay, so like even again, throwing the 0 in there is setting you up for failure. But I do have to say, if you think about the way it felt back then, 24 years ago, right? It felt as if the trajectory we're on right? Coming off of 97, 98, 99, if that was just life and the pace of life from then forward, the world would look like the movies and games depicted for 2099. Like, if we kept that pace up and didn't just fucking fart Peter out into the dirt, it actually could have gone that way if we're, considering the exponential curve.
I think about this a lot because and especially I've been talking about it a lot because I've been playing through the old ass Metal Gear games. One of the funniest things in Solid Snake, Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake, is I did not remember this because I never played it. The opening text crawl states that nukes have been abolished and no longer exist, which is why Metal Gear is such a big deal. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? That is an insane thing to say unless you wrote the game in 1989 at the start of the Cold War disarmament treaties, where they said they were going to disarm all the nukes.
They were starting to go there.
And then I'm like, oh, that's why in Metal Gear Solid, Baker has like a 5-minute spiel about how dog shit the START 2 treaty is and how it didn't work at all because the future in 1998 or whatever the fuck it was going to be, we were supposed to have no nukes
we're
by
supposed
now.
to be yes. And to go back in time and revisit that era with Phantom Pain, that whole big deal about détente and nuclear disarmament across all the mother bases. Like it makes
you get to see the moment in in Metal Gear 1 where Big Boss changes his codec and you start talking to Venom instead.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's crazy how Kojima made the same game like 6 times in a row. And like how every single notable element from later games is actually in the really old ones to some degree. Like, so Zanzibar Land's layout looks like the Big Shell's layout.
Right. Yeah. That was one of the details I remember. There's a moment where you actually can see a Venom switch.
Big Boss to Venom. Yep. About the 70% mark, you go from 140.85, and he goes, "I'm switching frequencies," and you start calling 140.13.
Okay.
And you're not switching frequencies. Now you're talking to Venom.
Straight up. Yeah, interesting. No, but that secret ending that never happened, like that makes a lot more sense now for sure. Kojima's hopes and dreams.
Back to technology.
Yes.
Like when we grew up, we went from no video games to tons of video games. We went from no internet to holy shit, the internet's going to change the whole world. We went from all practical effects to now you can use computers to make movies. And then in 2007, when we were just out of like high school, hey, did you know you have a fucking tricorder in your hand? You have a computer that could power the whole world in your fucking phone, and it makes oh my god, like like technology seemed genuinely exponential.
Yeah, no, and this is peak boomer casting right now. Like, make no mistake.
Yeah, but it's New Year, so we get to boomer cast.
We certainly do. But like it there is something really profoundly strange about even now. Going from no internet into it existing and then into social media. But like the pre-social media internet was like. There was still a whole weird thing to that where like everyone was kind of going out on their own and discovering their own corners and stumbling across shit, and you just didn't know what the fuck was out there.
And now we're going to cycle all the way back around because social media has decided to fill itself with robots.
Naturally, of course. That's how you save the failing business.
Meta and Facebook and Instagram are just going to fill the fucking site with fake people that you can pretend are real. I don't understand who that is for.
There is a now when I think about the people who were naming things according to the future years, right? They were thinking the same thing we all were at the time, which is this speed and trajectory is insane. And also, I mean, our parents' generation too, you're talking about like going from, You know, like
refrigerator. Whoa.
Color TV. Like the moment you can go back and see the times where it's like, hey, look, there's color now all of a sudden, right? And the moments that channels kind of switched over and stuff. So yeah, the trajectory was so insanely fast that you're like, if it just keeps going at this speed, we will be in these skyscrapers and surfing on laser boards and shit. Anyway, I think...
So someone asking in the chat, I am not a Gen Xer. I was born in 86. That puts me as an old millennial. Thank you. I do not want to count myself part of that Gen X. No, thank you.
Yeah, obviously when we say boomer, we're talking about the meme online boomer term.
Also, boomer means baby boomer. It doesn't mean Gen X, though Gen X are boomer now.
Okay, there are people that are under the impression or mistakenly thinking that boomer does not mean that, or it's it's a joke,
boomer
right?
Just means old people. Boomer means you don't understand what the phantom tax is.
Yes. Okay. All right.
Skibbity Riz, Ohio, children.
The greatest.
That's bad.
The greatest Skibbity generation.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
This is by default, Wooly, going to be the greatest Skibbity generation. Because the next generation is going to look at that shit and be like, that's lame. And have even newer, weirder shit. No. Feel it. No, feel the wrinkles. Feel the gray. You're doing it.
But like,
it's good.
But like, you know how like we always kind of knew like that, going back to the like YouTube poop era and shit like that, you could always kind of tell sort of where it was going. You could kind of look over and go like,
oh yeah, no,
that
faster
it's getting
and higher stimulus,
faster, higher stimulus, louder, more deep fried, and and etc. But like, what now? Because we're there. So like, what's what comes next?
Well, I don't mean to get too boomery or parenty casty or whatever, but what now is that we are going to see in the next couple of years an entire generation of deep fried Gen Alphas enter into the world as adults who have completely screwed up their dopamine receptors.
Oh, for sure.
And can't pay attention and are functionally disabled.
Yeah, I was trying to keep it a little less depressing because that is absolutely a certainty for 100%. But you know what can be locked in and focused on for extended periods of time?
What's that?
Dance routines.
Dance routines are cool.
If you've got a full-on dance routine going, you got the whole thing set up and like you get all the moves step by step, you can pay attention to that. Like you can actually let that go for a couple minutes. Those work out. Anyway,
don't give your kids iPads.
Yeah, that's we anyway.
Just don't do it.
Yeah, it's just I remember like every time it comes up, then there's the like, hey, but you don't know, and then it's like, yes, no, not everybody has we get the struggles and it's difficult and it's sometimes and yes and so on, but it's also just the outcomes are bad. So I don't know.
Just let the kids stare at the wall.
Yeah,
and scream. That is a better alternative.
And nobody wants to feel judged, and nobody wants to feel like they're being shit on if this is the decisions they've made.
That is our generation's curse.
But it's just because like the moment that kind of comes up, anyone in the room who's like, I'm in the process of handing the iPad to my kid, looks and goes, oh, what the fuck, man? So what? And it's like, no.
Yes.
Just understand that like. The outcomes are clearly demonstrating themselves now, and we're seeing how bad it is. It really is just terrible.
No, Wooly, our generation, the millennial curse is what? You're judging me now? Yes. I am judging you like your parents judge you because you are doing a bad thing, and that's fine. I can judge you. You can judge me. It's fine. It's fine. Wooly, we are now in the phase where my beautiful, wonderful child is smart enough that I have had to childproof all the drawers because he has discovered the cool shit is in all those drawers, right? However, that it coincides with being smart enough to run to his box of toys, pick up the book that he likes, run towards me, throw the book at me, go bah, 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 and do open wide thing until I pick him up and read him his book. Is that adorable? Yes. Is that as adorable on hour 2 of the same book? Not quite as much. Are me and Paige hiding some of the books in the couch cushions so that he varies it the fuck up sometimes? Absolutely. But that's what you're supposed to do.
Yes. You are simply hearing the not as fun and entertaining but realistic when you have friends and family and people that are like, yeah, when I'm tired, I just hand it over, etc. That as hilarious and as great as that response is, and the what the fuck are you doing, depending on who you're talking to, that might actually make it worse because they're not doing a great job at like realizing the dangers. And so in some cases you have to be like, hey, can I just show you some research on why this is bad? And like for the sake of saving the kid's brain, you might have to eggshell the person who's currently doing a bad job by iPadding them.
I think if somebody is already
do you know what I mean?
It's like a bad job. I don't think there's a saving grace here.
Because I'm just like the what the fuck is wrong with you to that parent that's doing that approach. That's like, yeah, well, it's like that kid. Like if it takes softening your message to get the iPad out of the kid's hand, then maybe that's the right way to do it. Because if the person gets spiteful and doubles down and goes, I'm bunkering down on this bad place, this bad stance because you're coming off that way, that kid's fucked and it sucks.
It's like, so here's the thing, right? So the big problem is that it's the type of person we're talking about is somebody who's probably not paying attention, because I have played a video game. I'll start up Marvel Rivals is a really good example. And the baby will walk into the room and look at me playing Marvel Rivals, and I will look over and I will see the light leave his fucking eyes, and he will go slack-jawed and stand in place where he came into the room. And I go, you know what? I think that's frying his fucking brain. I should turn that off. Right? But people who go, hey, have you watched Coco Melon?
No.
Have you seen Coco Melon?
No, I haven't, but I've heard.
So Coco Melon is specifically designed to turn off the baby.
Right.
Pull it up for yourself right now. Like, just watch it for fucking 10 seconds.
I can imagine. Yeah.
It is drugs. It is cocaine for children. It is unbelievable. It has been scientifically engineered to turn your baby off. And you know what? It's really good at it.
Yeah.
Because the baby just shut down.
Emojis sliding around and editing paste for maximum. Yeah, lock in. I get
type
that.
Of the music and shit like that.
But I guess it's just like whatever.
I don't.
No, just that like someone said like, hey, like that kind of parent will just tell you to fuck off, and I'm like, but it hasn't, because I know people in real life where when they're people that are kind of stubborn, that when they're doubling down and like bunkering in, and it's all based on the way that you come at them, and it's like, if it's just for you, then I'm like, okay, I don't give a fuck. But because you have a kid next to you and I care about the outcome there, I am going to do what's necessary to make sure you hear this message better. And if taking you aside and going, here's why this is a bad idea, now I get it, but check this out, and we can kind of have a discussion about it. It doesn't have to make it seem like you're going to war with me, or as coming at me in a way where I'm like, well, I have to attack back because I'm just an impatient fucking person, you know.
So I have a.
So you can affect the outcomes in that way, essentially.
It's because you're paying for it, right? So
pride is not being attacked when you come at it in that way.
When we got the little baby, and he's our first little baby, right? And we haven't done this before, so we got a little crib thing that's for 0 to 6 months called a snoo, right? And you strap the baby in, and the baby can't move, and it rocks the baby if the baby cries, right? So this thing, it lasts for 6.5 months. We got to keep him a little longer in it because he's small. He's just a little small. But basically, it means you strap the baby in, you make sure he's good and he's fed and all that, right? You turn that fucker on. Okay, you can have a regular night's fucking sleep, right? Now, there's all sorts of things about sleep training and all that shit. Nah, man, I had the robot rock the baby to sleep. And like we paid a pretty penny for it, but it was super worth it. And then we sold it to a friend of ours, and it was great. And then when we pulled him out of that fucking shit, we paid for it. We paid for it because this baby had learned to be rocked to sleep within seconds of crying for 7 months.
Oh yeah.
Right? But you know what? That first couple of months when we were postpartum and Paige was recovering from a C-section and we were new parents, that was the
crucial time.
Fucking hard months.
Yeah.
So you know what? That was a fair trade.
Okay.
When you give Jimmy the iPad, when you give little Billy the iPad at what X amount of months, you know what? It's way easier to do the dishes. Every time I do the dishes, the baby crawls into the dishwasher. Every single time. He reaches only for the biggest and sharpest knives that could cut him, right? When I take the trash out, baby wants in the trash, right? When you do the laundry, baby runs into the back of the laundry room. Where the fuck is the baby? Right? It's hard. It's super hard. But if you iPad that kid every single day, guess what? You're going to pay for it really bad when he goes to school.
Yeah, that lingers.
Like really bad.
That lingers far into the future. Absolutely, for sure. No, I mean, I even just the smallest anecdote, from friends that we have that, in one case they lived in a place where the baby had its own fairly large room and everything was quiet, and as a result it would sleep better. But if ever there were any disturbance of any kind, sleep was just interrupted and completely impossible. Versus the other baby I have that I know that is a cousin, and it's like the loudest. People could be talking at maximum Christmas volume, and the kid is knocked out because it's just, noise is normal.
We're somewhere in the middle on that. Like, Paige and I is like low talking, like not like now, like podcast voice, but like, hey, what's going on? You have right? That's fine. And like a loud crash will knock the guy out. But when he's out, man, he's out on the astral fucking plane. But like, to any of you who are brand new parents or about to become new parents, this advice may be bad and someone can argue with me, but like, hey, you know what? When you have the newborn, you might fall behind on laundry and you might start eating like shit because it's hard to cook your meals and it's harder to clean up the house because there's just so much to do. It's fucking okay. Wear yesterday's fucking clothes and eat a piece of fucking bread out of the package. It's fine. You'll live.
Yeah.
Not giving the baby the iPad is actually more important.
I mean, there's a lot of things, too, that I kind of, like, I think from just a lot of friends and stuff anecdotally, I'm realizing, like, there's a lot of, like, you'll make it. You'll live. It'll be, you'll figure it out, whatever the circumstances may be. But if you're currently listening to this and you're like, I've been just relying on this and it's what we do, and there's a bit of that pride thing, and you're kind of sunk cost fallacy at this point. It's yes, but it doesn't, like, the best time was yesterday, but the second best time is now, right?
Well, here's the second problem with
you
that.
can just take it away and like it'll be rough in the
that's the problem,
the transition period, right?
If hey, this kid's been on iPad shit for a year, oh man, good luck with that shit. That's gonna take months to detox them.
But it's that versus years that we know are coming permanently down the line. That's the thing, right? I mean, look, I feel as if we've also been long overdue for a hey kids, play with Mercury, it's a whole lot of fun kind of moment. You know?
No, you know that tetraethyl lead in the gasoline really helps reduce engine knocking.
Oh my god! Oh my god! The fact, the fucking like the curve of like the increase in lead and like
all crime
and crime, and then was it IQ test scores or no
IQ test scores?
Yeah, it was something like, and it's just like it's the same curve. You're like,
it's the same curve. Tetraethyl lead by Thomas Midge Ridley Jr. I think that's his name. Is the single most damaging thing to society that has ever happened in the history of the world.
Yeah. So
no question. Also, we dodged that shit like barely.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, for sure. Right out at the edge. Absolutely. But for a long time, it was understandably like, yo, are cell phones gonna be weird because of the shit that's getting to?
Yeah, turns out we dodged it on cell phones.
Okay.
Plastic though. Wow.
Right. Bluetooth. You got Bluetooth coming through your head all the time. Is that gonna be, you know? And there's all these kind of like but it seems okay. Well,
by the way, Willie, I'm being informed Baby is attempting to play peekaboo with you on the television.
Oh shit. Oh.
You want to hit him with that? Just get him with the eyes. Hit him with the.
Yeah. So that is exactly it, right? You have a straight up like we've coasted way too long without something we've relied on going horribly wrong, and I feel like with the exception of
Baby liked it.
Nice.
Give a thumbs up.
Nice. Woolly jump scare.
Microplastics in my balls was not one that I expected.
Plastics in all of our balls is truly horrifying, but it's too late. We're there.
The brand new one from this year, lead in your tampon.
Oh yeah. Also,
did you hear about that
one? Lead in the tampon.
Guess what? Guess what tampons have? Lead. Which tampons? All tampons. You know what else they have? Arsenic.
Wow. Yeah. Okay.
Hey, have you noticed the millennial generation is a generation that was defined by people going, it's really hard to have children when I want to have children. I have reproductive issues. It's possible that because we have plastic and lead all over our genitals, it might have an issue.
Okay, so is it maybe the risk of toxic shock comes from the fact that they're taking a big syringe called...
that's actually a totally different thing.
Okay, well...
That's a totally different thing.
No, but it just... anyway, it seems as if a lot of people have switched over to Diva Cups, and I think I get it when that's the type of stories that are coming out. I think as well, the toys that were like there's Chinese produced toys that had...
just lead.
Yeah, and you're like mouth toys as well that were just coming.
Lead mouth toys.
So that shit's wild,
dude. We bought so when we were had the baby, we had to stay somewhere else right after he was born, and we bought like a foldable crib that was just for like literally like 2 nights. And then after we got home and like put it in a storage, it got recalled from Amazon for safety reasons. And we were like, give me a fucking break. Come on. This thing, all it needs to do is not kill baby. That is the only thing I need this product to do. Is not kill baby.
One just simple, real clear objective. Assignment is straightforward. But I feel like there's definitely these types of little fucked up stories that have popped up. But like in a massive way, I think the iPad bit is like the first huge one that's like, oh shit, yeah, there's going to be a whole lot of people going, we didn't know, you know?
So
it's going to take a while for that like full research and publicized until news starts talking about it, going, hey everybody, actually stop right now. Until it's like a mainstream news item, this is going to continue to kind of be like,
I think you are actually completely wrong about that.
Really?
Yes, because I had parents who smoked. And I had parents who smoked 2 packs a day each, well into the fucking aughts. And every family trip we ever went on that was cold, every window was rolled right up. We would take the 401 from Montreal to Toronto, and that'd be a 6-hour trip. And both parents would smoke a pack each in that 6-hour car ride and wouldn't roll the windows down because it's cold. And me, my brother, and my sister would all go, who were, by the way, at this age, 16, 12, and 8. So, like, the full spread. Go, please stop smoking in the car. It is terrible back here. And this was when my parents were like, well, I know it's going to give us cancer or heart disease, but the kids are just complaining. And then the secondhand smoke shit happened, but it was too hard to quit. And so when you would bring that up to people, or you bring that up to your parents, they'd be like, oh, I know, and feel bad, and it would get tense, and then they would grab another cigarette. And that is what happens with the iPad people. They're like the
okay,
is too in.
But I do think I don't think that describes everybody, admittedly, because I'm also thinking about how I currently don't know anyone that still smokes, for example. Like, I know.
Do you include vapes? Because I do.
Vaping is certainly a thing, more than it's ever been. And vaping is.
There are people who are vaping in this chat right now.
And vaping is. I think there was actually something recently that said that it can be worse because of how easy it is to just like go in and out, and like you don't have to go through the ritual of.
Well, because vaping isn't as highly regulated, so if you have a bad vape, it'll just blow your shit up.
But also more just like you don't have to go outside and like have a full cigarette like thing. You can just kind of quickly take a bit and put it back away, so it's like easier to do, thus you're going to have more over the course of the day.
I can't believe I watched the generation above me like nearly die, or in some cases actually die from smoking. Then my generation stopped that shit, only to watch the next generation just pick it up in a different dispenser,
in a different type of way.
Like it's a Pez dispenser.
And I'm definitely not saying people don't smoke anymore, but I am saying that like people have traded off, and it has
if you're
changed
gonna
over
smoke,
statistically.
at least get high, fuckheads. Jesus.
All this to say
420. Come on.
All this to say that I don't think every single iPad parent is being like maliciously like, fuck it. I think there's a bunch of people that are just like somewhere there's the people that are fully on that don't give a fuck, that are checked out. And then there's the ones that are just like, I know better, but I'm exhausted. And then there are those who are just like, oh, I did not know. And I think that with everything, there's a large gamut of people. And I think that over time, as it becomes more and more clear, as the effects get worse and worse, as the generations get older and the kids who started with the iPad get older, and we see how it affects them in school and in life and everywhere else, it's going to become a much more clear and apparent thing. But listen, for now, we're still in the relatively early years.
I got a little baby right now, and that little baby is already learning to count and is on the path to reading and all that shit. And do you know what that means? That means, hey, you know what? iPad kid yourselves to death, fuckheads. My kid knows how to read by the end of regular human age. Illiteracy not for this one. He's going to be a doctor. And I said that in the chat the other day in my stream, and chat was like, well, what if he doesn't want to be a doctor? To which I responded, he can be any kind of doctor he wants. He can be a plastic surgeon. He can be a dermatologist. He can be an oncologist. He could be a cardiac surgeon. He can be a bone doctor. He could be an astronaut doctor. He can be any kind of doctor.
Well, my dad saying the same thing about me has led to a life of slingshotting myself violently in the opposite direction. So.
I'm going to tell you what now. I'm going to tell you right now. So my son can grow up to be anything he wants except for an artist. No art in this house.
That's cool. That's cool. But
art's for dorks.
Telling me what I needed to do or what the limitations on what I could be were when I was younger was like, hey, cool. So, the floor is me becoming a doctor. And just like legs up on the wall, Spider-Manning.
Anyway, I don't mean to go all crazy parent shit. Hey, you know what though? Oh man. If social media when you're a parent becomes so awesome because you get to see everybody else's opinions about being a parent, and you get to see the most dog shit thing you've ever seen in your fucking life. You scrolling up on that TikTok and you see this fucking bitch 8 months pregnant having a full bottle of wine going, who's gonna stop me? And you're like, oh my God, why would you put that on the internet? Are you fucking psycho? I've had 4 kids this way and they all turned out fine. Holy shit.
Yeah. like access to the world and their cameras means people that are seconds away from jail will sometimes show up on your feed. Like, before it was just, oh, this person's gone. Oh, they're like, yeah, they're in jail. Okay, well, now you get to see them right before it. In some cases, filming the crimes. Wow. Okay. Cool.
Anyway, having a kid's great. I'm really tired. That's the sell.
Yeah. I'm thinking of the one with the lady driving in the passenger seat with the kid with the window open or whatever, and they're just like cruising, and you're just like, yeah, you didn't have to scroll past and see that shit before.
My favorite one recent is like moms being like, can you believe this shit? And then people in the comments being like, that is much more serious than it looks. You need to fucking divorce your husband right now. Like 6-month-old infant, and the dad couldn't figure out the car seat, so he just put a blanket over it, and the kid's not strapped in at all. And it's like, oh no, that's the end of that relationship. That is a guaranteed fatality on a fender bender. That is you can't do it.
Well, the slightly more entertaining segue here is the montage of when they introduced drinking and driving and seatbelt laws. And people are like, you can't even have a beer on the road anymore. Seatbelts, the hell?
My dad drove trucks for a living, and you know what? My dad fucking hates seatbelt laws.
God, I just wanted a road soda after work.
I know for a fact that my father does not wear a seatbelt when no one can see him, because every single time we get into a car with my dad, my whole life, someone has to tell him to put on a seatbelt. He puts that seatbelt on 2 blocks from the house every single time. And every single time.
No matter how much it beeps, no matter how much it fucking annoys you forever, because that's what they do now.
It didn't used to.
It didn't used to do that shit. Right. Okay, well...
Why do people hate seatbelts that much? Because my dad used to hang his arm out the side of the truck.
Yeah.
Lean all the way out and yell at people.
They never had to.
Get the fuck out of the way. I'm delivering newspapers here.
Because they never had to. And then it became a law. And then that law is encroaching on your freedoms, And it doesn't matter how much it saves your life or doesn't, Yeah, literally, like... I mean, there was a friend of a friend that in high school, like, was not wearing his seatbelt in an accident on the road and passed away as a result of that. And that kind of, everyone took that needless outcome and tragedy lesson straight to heart there.
You want to hear a great story?
Sure.
My father, while smoking, like, his 45th cigarette of the day, looks at 15-year-old Pat, because I mentioned that some of my friends smoked weed, and goes, don't you ever smoke weed, you will die.
Oh, yeah.
And I go, what?
Oh, God, they got it.
And he goes, you'll literally die. And I go, no, you won't. What are you talking about? And my mom's there. She's like, baby. My mom is also blindsided. They did not talk about this before this happened. And he goes, I had a friend in high school, and he smoked weed and he died. I'm like, what? No, he didn't. It's like, yeah, he got high and he walked across Wellington and he got hit by a car and he died because he wasn't looking where he went. I'm like, that is not the what? And my mom goes, I smoked weed in high school. And my dad's just immediately defeated.
The reefer madness got him.
Smoking. And then they kept smoking the cigarette.
There you go. Okay, well, hey, while we're sharing weird, uncomfortable realities here, so with seatbelts, there is one thing. There's one intrusive thought that I get, and it kind of bugs me every now and then. And maybe if I share it to everybody listening, you'll start to get it too.
Okay, let's hear it.
Seatbelts and airbags will save your life and are absolutely necessary and understandably mandatory. But when I'm in the back seat and I have it strapped in and I know that there's a possibility going into an intersection that we might get T-boned, and I know that like you're you're pretty much done. But
people survive all sorts of stupid shit.
But if there's a chance that the impact of where the door caves in is something that would launch you to the other side of the back seat, but the seatbelt stops you, then you're just getting
you have the kinetic math on this wrong.
Okay.
So something that would instantly kill you if you stayed put with the seatbelt would obliterate you if you hit the side of the other side of the car, and much more likely some of you would eject out of the other side of that car.
So that's my thought. Now, here's the thing. Like, I don't know what I'm talking about, and I fully will all put that forward so anyone who knows fucking better can illuminate. I definitely know that at a certain speed, trajectory, and impact, it doesn't even matter, right?
The seatbelt's just gonna
contain
some of the goo.
So I'm not thinking about the impact level that would result in that, because that's a non-starter. I'm thinking about the one that is just slow enough that everything gets rocked over to the side. But because of the way the crumble cars are built to safely crumble away and not be these iron steel death boxes, the side doors collapse into you where the bump would have shot you over to the other side. That speed. It's not the maximum speed. It's the speed that jostles you over to the side, but the seatbelt stops you from moving over.
You are ignoring a third factor here.
Okay.
Which is,
please make me feel safer.
No, this doesn't make you feel safer. This is the other way.
Okay.
Sorry. Once your body has left the vehicle as a projectile, your likelihood of death increases by about 1 million times.
Not talking about that. I'm not talking about way slower than that. Way slower than that.
You don't get to choose how hard the person in the other car hits you.
No, you don't. You don't. I'm talking, but the intrusive thought that I'm describing, which is, again, it's not rational necessarily. That's why I'm sharing it here, right? It doesn't have to make sense. It is not, But I'm thinking about something that's not knocking you so hard that you in the back seat go flying out the window I'm talking about, like, it's enough to crumple the side where you're sitting. I
don't think this combination of forces exists. I don't think there's a force that can hit you and totally obliterate your seat that would not also launch you clear through the door entirely.
Through the door? I hope so.
And I don't even mean through the window.
I hope so. And I'm not sure where. I know where airbags are placed in the front. I don't know where they're placed in the back seats.
They're placed in the front.
So in the back seats, where, I don't know where the air.
If they have them, they're in the chair in front of you.
Okay.
Like the driver's.
So that's the thing. It's like folks are saying, like, there's airbags. I'm like, I don't know where they would come from. So I'm not. This is all based on not necessarily knowing that part of it. If there's side airbags.
There can be side airbags.
That's cool. Okay.
I think you should focus on not becoming a projectile. I think that is by far the grandest
for sure
and smartest plan.
Again, I started this saying there's a small thing. It's a tiny intrusive thought. It's not necessarily rational, but I do just think about that getting pinned kind of outcome to getting teabagged.
So here's the thing.
Right.
You can get ejected from a car not wearing a seatbelt pretty easily.
I imagine, too.
I know people who have been in rollovers. And if you flew out that window on the wrong side, which you would because of the way the math works, the car would roll over you. And that is definitely way worse than any damage you would have taken.
Anyway, I can't get... I can't explain any further than that. It's not necessarily, it doesn't make a ton of sense. And if the speed that I'm describing that could do that means that for sure the other way without it would be completely kaput, then great. That's the laws of physics. But as far as just the intrusive thought goes, I go, a little bit on that. Not saying I'd never wear it, not saying any outcome would change, describing an intrusive, irrational thought, sharing it on a microphone in front of a podcast. Here we go.
There was a doctor that injected patients at some fucking British hospital with a fucking mystery syringe. Also, he wasn't a doctor. He was a guy. There's an intrusive thought for you. I think about it every day ever since I saw that article. Guy just walked in with a lab coat and just started injecting people with a fucking mystery fluid. Don't care for that.
Yeah.
Don't like it.
Yeah.
Don't like to see the phrase mystery fluid. How about that?
I love when you see like plane crash or accident news and you scroll past it and then like another one and you're like, yeah, I don't need, and then 3. And you're like, can I just not see this for a sec, please?
Humans were not supposed to hang out with more than 150 people. So could I get news from only 150 of the people closest to me right now, please? Please, can I have that as a function of like my apps? Or whatever.
Ever scroll past one of those while you're at the airport and you're just like, cool, awesome, that's rad, love that. I remember seeing. So Paige has a terrifying fear of flying, and I remember going to see Godzilla with her. And when Godzilla starts smashing up all the planes at the airport, she like nearly fainted. Yeah. Well, anyway.
Oh, it was really funny.
So, this week, stuff and things.
Yeah, what's going on with you, man? What's going on? Hey,
I took a look over at MVCIB, Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite and Beyond, Maximilian's just flex project, the full-on vanity of dropping 30K and just going, yo, make it good though. And then they did, and that was awesome. Yeah, there is if you go to MVCIB.com, I believe, Marvel Infinite and Beyond is just taking Marvel versus Capcom Infinite, and they got a team of like 80 people or so, I think. Just
like a proper fucking development team.
Modders and they got Alex Mukala and Little V to make some music, artists to redo a lot of the art, new modes, just a whole thing, and just taking Infinite and just making it a better game.
You can polish a turd if you try hard enough.
Well, so the thing with Infinite from the jump was that the gameplay was always good. It was always really well built in terms of just the battle planning. It's the rest that sucked, and fortunately that's something that a modding team and some artists and some creative people can do. You can get some really talented people to make some new music, change some stages, and like change the shaders so that it actually looks like a comic book now, dot tone and like bright colors and just the things that you kind of wanted and expected Marvel versus Capcom to look like. I remember when Marvel 3 was shown and it was like, okay, like,
this is awesome, this looks great.
Well, but I was like, you do lose a little something in 3D, I remember feeling that, but I was like, yeah, but clearly there's things going on, like look at Wolverine's Berserker Barrage slashing through the pages of the stage, right, treating it like paper. That was an awesome effect, and I was like, I wish they did more of that, but at the end I think
Marvel 3 was a better use of 3D than Street Fighter did for a while.
They're being more creative and fun with like the particles and the effects on the characters and stuff in like the wind poses. You get up close and start to see some of the shading and thick lines as well, right? But all this to say that, like, I mean, jumping into 3D from the old 2D games, like that first jump is always gonna have a little bit of awkwardness to it. Tatsunoko had some of that as well. But at the end, we were like, okay, well, you're not going to get sprites anymore, and that's fine. We're in a different world now. But like, if we have like a real respect for like the comic book style, art style, and the stuff that's been colorful and iconic for years, then you're not kind of betraying that with the franchise. And then Marvel Infinite was like, nah, we're going realistic. Fuck you.
Nah, we're going.
And by realistic, I mean ugly.
Hey, let's remove like respect for the medium at the door, and let's remove respect for Marvel at the door, let's just like focus on like, how about respect for the looks of your own characters?
Your own characters,
Chun-Li
man.
is one of your most beloved characters ever. Why she look like that?
Yeah, just it just doesn't. And even to now, when you look at like the changes, it's like they did the best they could to fix like the lighting and make it not as bad, but you can still see the weird eyes on her because that's her model, right? When I'm describing like how the feeling of Marvel 3 is like, okay, that's still pretty cool though. I'm like, now we're looking back on it going like, yeah, that shit rocks, right? Because of what we got after the fact. But to me, I'm like, well, Children of the Atom is like the fucking peak in my brain of how awesome these characters and sprites and colors and things can look. And
Children of the Atom looks pretty good.
And everything since Children of the Atom has been going further down, right? That like the animation has been, getting choppier, and you've had to just make concessions overall. So that's what I'm kind of comparing it to, is like this idyllic, super duper detailed, beautiful animation in the sprites. All this to say that Infinite and Beyond kind of just found a really nice filter, and especially when you see the characters doing their supers up close, and just the change to the lighting effects just makes it look so much more fun and enjoyable, and it's what you wanted from the jump. The announcers having a blast, the title screen, all the little options, all the little art you're seeing everywhere, everything is just like, it's all and if you've heard Max talking about like, the joy and the fun and the the feeling over the years, it's like this is kind of just reinserting all of that into a game where the tag system was fun. And they did make a couple balance changes too here. They're very minimal. Nothing to change the way the characters, nothing to like take away tools that the characters had, but more just like scaling back damage on stuff that was too abusable.
Let's say oppressive.
And then also making it so that you had a couple more options, and you can some characters got new stuff entirely.
That's cool.
Yeah, Thanos has the full Infinity Gauntlet, for example. So he can,
that makes sense,
right? Because of course he's actually got it, But there are little things as well where, like, you could hold the input for throw and grab someone first frame during like a special flash before. But like now you can do that with like the jab button as well, or like other things. So like holding during a super flash is now like a bit of a more standardized bit. Some other fine details in the game or so. But anyway, playing it, checking it out, it's awesome, man. It's super cool. It's the first thing I thought of when I saw those mods for Marvel 3 started popping up. And I'm so happy that like, yeah, he just kind of got a team together and they made this full thing. And like they did exactly what I was hoping for too, which is like, here it is. It's easy to install. It's a zip file. You just grab it and you drop it in the folder that you install off of Steam. And it pretty much tells you, it's like, if you have the extra costumes, you're gonna get some bonus stuff there. If you don't, that's fine. You don't need it. You can play it online with other people that have it, but if people don't have that version, like, that's okay. You could even just get one that doesn't change the visuals, that just changes the gameplay elements as well. So really well thought out to just be simple and easy for people to grab it, drop it on top of their installation, and go. And it's fun to go back and be like, damn, yo, Monster Hunter rules. I can finally like...
Yeah, no, that character,
she's so awesome. And I was so sad that she was stuck there. And it's so fun to be able to just go back and do all that crazy fucking shit with her. That is just the, like, it's the best mod package, like, in this genre that we've ever seen, easily. And usually you've had like some shit posty stuff from back in the day, like the mysterious mods and the goofy Street Fighter 4 broken editions and shit like that.
I can't think of anything that's comprehensive.
No, this is usually reserved for Souls games and or Skyrims, right?
Like total conversion.
That's it.
Kind of thing.
So just, yeah, if you haven't checked it out, do so. Absolute kudos. And obviously the game is like popping back up, and it's online and people are playing it, and hey, look at that, it's suddenly healthy again. And I don't know what kind of conversations happened, behind the scenes or so, but one thing is clear is, like, as much as this is not an official thing, and has nothing to do with.
Oh, Capcom's never going to touch this.
No, of course not, right? And you know, the same for your Project M style bits with Nintendo and everything. But you do have to go buy a copy of Marvel Infinite,
which is conveniently on sale right now,
to install the mod. So that much is clear, and I don't think you can be too upset about that if you're not touching this otherwise, you know? But I'm sure business-wise, there's a like, why can't we? There's definitely a like money on the table bah humbug feeling to the situation. I bet you some people are having, but I bet you internally
Marvel might have an issue with it, but it's too late, dipshits.
Yeah.
It's too late now.
Yeah, and again, like you do have to go buy the thing, and I bet like I wouldn't be surprised if there might have been like a little like, hey, as long as people got to go buy the thing, you know.
I have a suspicion that before Max did all this work and put money into it, that he spoke to a guy who could give him certain acquiescences.
You know, but it's very cool. It's great. It's nice to see that like this entry that is skipped over in discussion now no longer has to be, because when we talk about Marvel, you just don't talk about Infinite.
It will continue to be skipped over in discussion, and then someone will go, "Hey, what about that cool mod Max made?" And they'll go, "Yeah, that was cool."
Yeah.
When's Marvel 4 though?
Yeah. No, there's you know, for some folks, but it's you know, it's legitimately a really cool final thing to have for this game, and I think I saw like there's you know, some discussion, like some Japanese the Twitter things where some folks were going like, hey, if this is not officially recognized, then it doesn't matter, who cares, was kind of the energy.
Oh, fuck off.
And it was like, all right,
get your esports out of your ass.
well, I'm just like, I didn't think a bootlick approach would apply to fucking to fighting games, but here we are trying to lick a boot. You know, it's why I was like, oh, if it's not official, then no.
I need Kevin Feige to tell me what video games I can enjoy.
It was a bit of a wild one there, but there are some folks that are kind of have that feeling, and it's like, okay, you can do that, and we'll be having fun over here. Dear Lord. Yeah, I guess the other idea too is like, it doesn't. I think it's not that again, if Marvel's going to get mad, they're going to get mad regardless in a way. Anyone who doesn't like this won't like it, but it doesn't add new characters. So there's also a little bit of a like, it's keeping the integrity of the thing they released, just making it better to it. I know, but it's a weird like it's a weird line almost where it's like, as a result of this, it's not anyone who's been playing the game for the last 7 or so years is still playing that game.
Yeah.
You know, I guess.
Because they're sick.
Or they really like
if I was still
crashing.
playing Dave Defeat right now, you would say that I'm mentally ill. Now, granted, I am mentally ill, but that would be a different conversation.
Or you really like tag crashing and, you know, the 2v2 dynamic, you know, and can be the ability to create your own assists, you know? Anyway, so yeah, Infinite and Beyond is awesome and worth checking out. I will urge everybody to go take a look.
I feel super bad for Marvel Infinite's development, not just because of like Marvel, not because of like the slow stuff and they didn't have enough time and money, but like there was a really incredibly clear MCU push behind that game.
Yep.
And non-X-Man push. Mm-hmm. No Magneto, put Ultron, right?
Yeah.
And like I compare that to the subsequent Marvel products that came out of Marvel Snap and Marvel Rivals, in which they're like, you want to play as Jeff the Shark? Fuck it.
So
who needs that shit?
But there's like a 50-50 in a way, right? Because even beforehand, when Rocket Raccoon was included in Marvel 3, it was like, who? Why? Yeah. Right? And looking at Rivals, you know, you could argue like, oh, well, Mantis probably would not have been an inclusion if not for Guardians. But that was a successful case of getting people to care about characters they didn't initially. The push towards promoting the character versus, well, now that they've arrived and people like them and we're going to include them, is still a thing. But you're gonna have Squirrel Girl and Jeff the Land Shark while you have Mantis and I don't know. Like, I feel like Scarlet.
Well, I'm staring at the list in front of me right now.
Well, I was going to say, like, Scarlet Witch also feels like a character that is included and is much more of a big deal now because of MCU, as opposed to prior to her inclusion there. It's kind of was like, yeah, she was around and she had a big impact on things like House of M and these events, but she might not have been in a roster of playable characters. Look, she wasn't in any of the Marvel games as a playable character.
And like, you know, you're obviously, I'm looking at the leak list for upcoming Marvel Rivals characters. Like, oh, you got the Fantastic Four in there, and you got Blade, and Deadpool. People like those. They got movies. And then you get motherfucking Hitmonkey. Fucking Hitmonkey coming to fucking Marvel Rivals.
I don't even know.
Me either. Point taken.
These are they announced some new characters?
No, they did not announce the new characters, but people have been data mining shit out like constantly. And including pulling out like the models for some of the Fantastic Four.
Okay.
But yeah, some McFarlane character called Angela, Hitmonkey, Deadpool, Captain Marvel, Emma Frost, Phoenix, Valkyrie, MODOK, Fantastic,
Angela is the Angela, if I'm not mistaken, is basically the Spawn character that like he just took and made again outside of the Image imprint, and he just went like, yeah, it's my character. I'm doing it. You can't stop me.
We're getting weirdos like Angela and Hitmonkey alongside your movie characters, and I'm just like, man, Marvel Infinite was like defined by a bunch of loser picks.
Okay.
Like Monster Hunter's the most interesting character on that whole roster, and they're a Capcom character.
Oh, she's in Thor's canon. Sorry. Okay. I'm like, I don't know a ton about how that happened. Interesting. Yeah. Okay. Well, you know, weird picks is good. That's cool. And you know, now that if like, if you don't know a Jeff the Land Shark, then now you do, and you're like, hey, that's cool. I like that. It's like, what's that about? It's like, oh, Gwenpool. What that's a thing, and you know. So this is all, it all works when the obscure inclusion is something people would like if they knew about it to begin with, you know.
I know it's a fighting game adjacent, like barely, but I have to actually agree with Say Jam that playing Rivals feels like the Marvel 4 waiting room. It's a shooter, but it has all of the like bullshit juice fucked up garbage that Marvel feels like it has.
Well, yeah, if you like, and you get to feel good about like for those characters at the very least. I mean, there's nothing Capcom happening in there certainly, but you know, in terms of just enjoying a bunch of these Marvel mainline characters in a game, yeah, that feeling is there. I get that. It's very indirect, but it is there. I did boot it up, at least. I didn't have time to jump into any matches, but I did boot it up to just take a look at some of the costumes and cosmetics and whatever's on sale and stuff. And like, yeah, they populated that store fucking quick. They really went, yep, here's all your MCU outfits. Here's your classics. Here's the stuff.
Here's some space outfits.
No, they did exactly what I was expecting there. And yeah, good shit. Hey, look, Magneto's old costume, except it's like not exactly his old costume. It's a cooler version.
It's pretty close.
Yeah. But I'm like, I wonder if it's like, is that so? Because then it says like, oh, first appearance like 1951 or so, Magneto. And I'm wondering, I'm like, are you doing this so that like you can scratch this itch now, but then you can make an even more super awkward, legit old Magneto outfit? Or you're just going to kind of leave them all looking kind of cool?
I think there's going to be a lot of costumes.
Yeah, because
that's what I think.
Because, you know, if the classic costume for the character still looks like a kind of cool updated one, it's like you have room for an even more goofy looking old one.
I think there will be many costumes in this game.
Also, seeing how
I've been playing so much of it that I'm learning how much I hate other teammates in shooters again.
Oh, there you go.
I'm feeling it. I'm like, hey man, hey Wooly, we're playing you know, the 3-point thing where you have to win 3 matches in a row. All right, we destroyed the other team. We destroyed them. It was complete one-sided. All right, we're going to the second round. Every single person change your character to a character you're bad with. Every single one of you. Oh, we lost twice in a row. Fucking sick. That's great. That's good that you all did that.
There you go. That's the story. That's the feel. I mean, look, random queue is random queue no matter what it is, you know? Though seeing how that character select screen is like 3 rows now, and like there's clearly a full semicircle that can be completed, if not more. They've purposely made a fuck ton of space in the
that style of curve. Rotating thing can go infinitely.
So yeah, that's cool. Outside of that, hey, I finished Phoenix Wright 1.
I saw.
Yes. That was a final super long sesh to push through. I think we were like 7 hours or something by the end there.
That feels like how I've beaten every single Phoenix Wright game, where you're like, I and they go, no, you didn't. No, you didn't. No,
yeah, you didn't. You know you're going to need to push through. And there's going to be an ending and all that stuff as well. That last case they added really is like a sequel. That is a Shadow of the Erd Tree fucking into Phoenix Wright 1. It's crazy. It's 3 cases in one. It's half the length of the original game. I mean,
yeah, it's fucking bananas.
Wild. But,
and those characters will come back, but because of the way that the game was developed, they can only come back from the 4th game onwards.
Phenomenal. Excellent. Amazing. Very good. Enjoyed it thoroughly. Looking forward to more. You know, not much else there. I mean, I've known for a long time that it's like, yeah, this is something that is beloved for a reason here, and happy to finally get around to it and beat it.
Phoenix Wright has a really specific like benefit to discovering it at this point in time, because it's a visual novel with classy, simple art and gameplay that doesn't require on any technology whatsoever. So like those were what, Game Boy Advance games originally?
GBA, yep.
And now that you've discovered it, you played through the first one and you're like, wow, that shit's amazing. Not only is it like readily ported to like everything you own, including your phone, there are like 15 fucking games. They're like, you're like, oh, I like this now. Oh, cool. I could play this shit for fucking years and never finish. Like, holy shit.
It's like getting into Yakuza. It's like, yeah, there's a infinite breadth I can see.
And unlike Yakuza, this has an incredibly clear, straightforward through line
pathway. Yeah, so I'm gonna need a minute before throwing in a full-on voice chops game again. But
oh yeah, no, that's bad on the mouth.
Yeah, by the end of that last session, I felt it. I could feel my throat was pushed, and that was. So we're gonna need a little bit on that, but it's definitely coming back for sure. I finally also can see the Edgeworth setup here, where from that initial antagonist energy, right?
Where he's such a piece of shit.
Absolute
it's wild
garbage.
How much of a piece of shit he is.
But like the co-op versus the truth is such a good setup. That shit is awesome and it's hype as hell. And that's what if that's what it kind of, I don't know what to say if that's what it becomes from here on out, but I will say that for at least this game, that direction felt incredible. It was super cool to just see both sides against the middle there.
I forget if it's Edgeworth 1 or 2, but at some point you run into a character who is like, hey, aren't you actually a massive piece of fucking shit? Like, because they knew him as a prosecutor in his complete garbage, lying criminal days.
Well, it's like one can it's debatable whether he lied or not, right? You can give him the benefit of the doubt.
I knew he was guilty. I knew it.
Everyone around him is full of shit, and everyone that's handing him evidence is full of shit, and all the crimes being committed around his crime aura field are bad. But is he himself knowingly doing wrong many times for over the course of many years.
I updated the autopsy report to be covered in my piss. Here you go, Nick. Take a good whiff.
I think if we're gonna grief him this hard, that judge needs his fucking comeuppance as well.
Well,
that goddamn.
I'm gonna tell you right now, as unlikely as it seems, that judge will not only not get his comeuppance,
of course not,
but he will preside over every single case you will ever see.
Absolutely, and
it's wild,
and
it's the shittiest judge ever.
But that's important because he represents the system. Right? He represents the thing we're trying to make fun of here. So we need him to be as incompetent and as stupid and as obsessed with lunch as possible. You know?
Can we just jail this motherfucker? I'm hungry.
Like that, at the end of the day, you are the whole point of what we're trying to rally against here. Good shit. And like, I continue to also have this, like, I can't, like, yes, Nick knows what he's doing, and sometimes he's cool, but not in the times where I want him to be.
Yeah.
I'm like, please be cool. And he's like, I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm like, God damn it. You know, but then other times he's like,
I only had some big titty ghosts to help me. Come on.
He will be cool. He will be cool, but not where you want him to be. It was great. It was great. And then, of course, there's like, I don't know where I'm going with this, but I'm just going to keep talking, is what the game actually wants him to do.
As long as I keep talking, they can't kick me out the doors.
But we all know the rule of this is like, we have to get through our Snake Plissken arc to truly appreciate.
Oh, Homie Wright's incredible. That dude's great.
The main character becomes the greatest as soon as you lose control of them. This is the rule.
It is the rule.
Yeah, so that's pretty much it. I also completed the final secret boss of Shogun Showdown. Mm-hmm. And that game's really fun and worth playing. If you haven't, it's a sleeper. It's not much to say about it, but once you play it, it's, like I said, it's just really addictive and really fun. I want to recommend it again. Day 7 is full of shit. The hardest difficulty that game gets to is absolute bullshit.
Just like patently unfair.
Oh yeah, like you're getting, and you can go in with like your weapons randomized against you too as well. And like you can build unfair builds, but the chances of getting the pieces to do it are really, really low. So yeah, no, hardest difficulty of that game. Well, again, Into the Breach though, right? Similar kind of concept of like, okay, the computer is just like cheating, and there are times, there are moments on the hardest difficulty where you're on a 7-tile stage, you're on tile 1, and the next 6 tiles are all things are targeting you. And there's no empty space. Come on. You know? So, yeah. Good stuff there. We're going to resume this week. Not on Wednesday, but on Thursday. We'll be popping back in to play some Cyberpunk. And then I believe some more 1000X Resist on Friday as well. And yeah, we haven't played.
Have you dipped your toe in 1000X Resist, right?
Just started it, 1 session. Yep.
I don't know anything about that game other than what's on the Steam page, but everybody keeps like lavishing praise on it.
I've played 3 hours of it, and I couldn't tell you any more than you already know.
Ah, cool. It's one of those. Got it.
Big narrative, slow burn. It's going to need some time to go places, but we don't know anything else about it yet.
We're being informed with some friend-ass Archie Comics Capcom information. The judge from Ace Attorney declared Dr. Wily innocent of his crimes.
Amazing. Beautiful. And I also now understand the tragedy of not having Edgeworth as a playable character in Marvel. That should have been a pair. Not that, like, it was already a wild... Here's the thing. It's so wild to get Phoenix as a character in that game to begin with, and like such a surprising, awesome pull holy shit, yay, you know. But like now, you're like, oh fuck, it would have been great if they got them both, right?
Yeah, Phoenix should have been in Marvel 3, and Edgeworth should have been the rep in Ultimate Marvel.
I mean, shit, man. It feels like a wasted opportunity there. But also, once upon a time, Dante was not in Marvel. And it was like,
what a stupid concept.
And it was like,
what an absolutely buffoonish concept.
Right? Once upon a time, it was like, oh my god, they finally added Dante to Marvel vs. Capcom 3.
And now we will feel the same way when they add Nero.
So yeah, that's kind of the thing with Phoenix, is looking back with time, if you feel like you wanted them both, but it was holy shit to see him at all. So yeah, that's pretty much going to be it. And yeah, definitely something fighting games related this weekend. If not Infinite and Beyond, some other stuff is going on. I know Corrupt came out. I'll let you know. So check the schedule. But Wooly Versus on Twitch and on YouTube. Wooly Wolves on Blue Sky and Twitter. Yeah, what's going on?
I played Marvel Rivals. Is good. I hate my team. I hate my team so much. They're bad. I'm also bad, but they're worse. I'm trapped in that Elo hell. And is that cope? Absolutely. 100%. It helps me sleep at night.
Are you able to cycle between roles?
Yeah, absolutely. I actually, I tend to win more matches when I play support. And I don't think that's because I'm better as support. I think that's because other people are worse than I am at support. I think that is I think I'm actually much better as a tank. But I think other people are way, way, way worse as supports than I am. So therefore, I think that I'm stuck on support. Loki's fun though.
Oh, you're gravitating. Yeah, you're going towards him.
Loki's a lot of fun. He's got stupid shit.
No, his clone teleport setup game is phenomenal. That's a lot of fun.
Let's see. I did a Beat the Backlog where I played a bunch of games. Of note, of particular, I just saw somebody mention it. I played Cook Serve Delicious for the first time.
Cook Serve Delicious.
It is a game about food prep, like kind of like Overcooked, but using like keyboard controls. I quit a couple minutes in because I was having a panic attack and I was gonna cry. I was going to burst into tears.
Oh no, this food looks realistic and delicious. Fuck.
I never did food service in my time up to adulthood, and I'm glad I didn't, because food service is stressful.
Oh, working on the line?
Well, because orders come in and you have to hit the right buttons to get the orders out correctly, but they have to be the correct orders, and then you have to prep the orders along a certain thing.
Yeah.
But as you're doing so, more orders are coming in.
Well, have you played like Beer Tap or like, you know, the fucking Cake Love or any of those?
Well, I'm still here, aren't I?
Okay.
I'm alive.
This is a genre of game where you have to do things quickly while orders are coming in and you're No?
Yeah, no, I'm good. No, thank you.
You have not done the okay.
No, I'm good. Thank you. I'm all done. I'm all done with that. Also have a minor Jimmy update from last week. I would like to raise my hand and say I was wrong about one thing. I should not have spent a portion of last week's podcast fantasizing about passive aggressive revenge shit with Jimmy, because that is just bad for the game in general. Like the not healing or the playing a character that specifically hates them. That was wrong to do. On the plus side, we spoke to the DM and are very hopeful for the future of D&D with the Jimmy group. Haven't played yet. We're going to be playing in the next couple of days. So that'll be a next week update.
Looking forward to it.
What else? I just want to add an addendum earlier to what I was talking about with the kid. There's a really fun game you can play as parents when you're both tired and you're sitting on the couch and the baby picks up a book and starts waddling over to you and you're like, oh my God, which one is it? It was Mom's turn. I hate that book. I hate 10 Tiny Toes. I hate it. Can I get Peach Plums? Can I get that one? No? You want to read me 10 Tiny Toes next? Again? again.
What's going on?
Sometimes the baby wants to read the same book like 100 times in a fucking row.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's the bit. But like, is 10 Tiny Toes like a banger? Like, is that the DMC5
it is a banger
of
for
the baby
child.
world?
The child thinks it's great.
Okay.
Yeah,
well then of course you're popping that back in. Why the hell not? Man.
So eventually you hide 10 Tiny Toes. So then you switch up to the dot one or what have you. Just switch it up. I love that baby so much. He's so great.
There's something I learned about like how novel experiences feel continuously novel up to a certain age.
Yeah, no, babies can see the same thing 100 times in a row and it's like, yeah, oh, it's sick.
But it's not. I mean, obviously, there's like a lot less life lived, so therefore it's all fresh. But there's another element that was like researched about like how it feels like this closer to being like the first time you experienced it up to a certain point, and then that after a certain age, and then it starts to kind of fade after that. I don't know what I'm fully talking about, so I'm just gonna trail off there.
Don't worry about it. Anyway, and also. That's pretty. I beat those I beat Metal Gear 1 and 2. Metal Gear 2 is 1,000,000 times harder than Metal Gear 1. Metal Gear 1 was a single sitting. Metal Gear 2 was 3.5.
And it's way more complex, and it introduced
it's way longer too.
A whole lot.
It's awesome. It is also like a direct remake of Metal Gear 1,
which is then also remade in Solid Snake.
Metal Gear Solid.
Yes,
like it's the same goddamn game. Over and over and over. I like him.
I mean, look, Kojima has made 4 games, right? He's made Metal Gear, he's made Police Knots, he's made Snatcher, and he's made Death Stranding. And I think he picked the right one.
Those are the 4 games.
Yes, those are the 4 total games. And I think he picked the right one to keep remaking. That's cool.
Now the question is I haven't played Snatcher. Is Police Knots also a remake of Snatcher?
See, that's the thing. I wouldn't say so, but I would say that Boktai is a Death Stranding.
Oh yeah, Boktai is new.
Boktai is a Death Stranding.
No. Is it?
No. But there's is Death? Oh, okay. Boktai is not a Death Stranding. Death Stranding is a Boktai. There you go. Go outside and connect with people. Yeah, sunlight.
Oh, you know what? I think you might actually be right.
The beginning of the Strand games.
I feel like missing the forest for the trees though there, Kojumbo, because he's like, I don't like the kids play video games inside all the time. I'm going to make them go outside on a system that has no backlight. So you can't see the fucking game at all. And have them ask them to play in direct sunlight.
It's where it's actually harder to play in the environment that you're asking me to play it in.
Basically impossible.
Yes.
Basically totally impossible.
Yes. Cool. All right.
Let's see what else. So I'm on to Metal Gear Solid tomorrow in the afternoon because it's New Year's Day. Most of you guys have the time off. So go down to twitch.tv/PatStares tomorrow at noon Pacific for Metal Gear Solid, the big one. That's an important one. Tonight for New Year's Eve, I'll be joined by Peach Saliva, my darling wife, and we're going to be playing that weird British game called Thank Goodness You're Here. So that's also going to be over at twitch.tv/PatStares but that'll be like 8 p.m. Pacific, so just before the midnight on the East Coast. We'll play right through to Pacific New Year. And apparently it's got a lot of gross British people in it.
Oh, yeah.
That's narrated by Matt Berry.
Oh, this. Okay. Yeah.
And I think making fun of British people is a really good way to start the new year. That's what I think. Because they talk weird.
with this. This is it regular show art style?
It feels like it.
It's not associated though, eh? Or it's not
I don't
the same
think so,
artist,
no.
is it? Okay.
I don't. What else? All right. Later on this week, on Saturday, I'm going to be doing a stream where I will be, at some point, we haven't figured out the timing yet, but I will be joined by one Ashley Roboto, one of me and Paige's favorite content creators. Are you familiar with Ashley?
Nope.
Oh, she's so nice. She's just such a nice lady. She's got such good vibes and good energy. But I will be joined by Ashley Roboto as I join her on her WoW Classic Hardcore Permadeath server.
Okay. Wow. When's the last time you wowed?
2007. Wait, when Kata come out?
Wow.
When did Cataclysm?
Are you going to be able to load up your old character?
Oh, fuck no.
Oh, okay.
Dude, those characters got stolen by the Chinese decades ago. Like, actually decades ago.
When you say stolen by the Chinese.
I mean, I got emails from Blizzard going, are you fucking logging in from Beijing, China? And I went, no. And then I logged in and my characters had all their shit stolen.
Oh, wow. Oh, for gold farming?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Holy
No, the phrase was exactly as it appeared as I said it. Like very, very directly.
Jesus Christ. Okay, all right. So
I got my account back, but yeah, that shit's all gone. Besides, if it's going to be a WoW Classic server, those characters couldn't have come forward, and if it's a permadeath server, it doesn't even fucking matter.
I mean, there is something funny about talking about Marvel Infinite earlier and like jumping into WoW Classic now.
Yeah.
But all right. All right.
Well, see, I saw, like, it was very simple. I saw Ashley playing on TikTok, and I'm like, wow, she seems like having a really good time, because there's a lot of, like, going back to WoW Classic with perma specifically, like hardcore characters, and a lot of that seems very miserable and dedicated around, like, the agony of defeat.
Gotcha. Okay.
Rather than, like, just chilling and having a good time. So I reached out to Ashley and I was like, hey, Ashley, do you think that's cool? Will you hang out? And she's like, absolutely. I was like, oh, this is great. This is going to be a really good experience.
Okay. So, yeah. You'll have to make a new tune and then...
Yes, I will make a new tune.
Mm-hmm. And we'll see how that goes.
And in my... Like, I'm installing WoW Classic. You know what? I might as well go back and install Guild Wars 2. Because I love that game, and maybe they added an option that would not cripple my hands. I don't know. I brought this up like 2 or 3 times, but I used to play Guild Wars 2, but Guild Wars 2 wants you to constantly move the camera all the time, but the way to do it is to hold down a mouse button and move the camera. And I played that game at launch until I suffered like carpal tunnel that was bad enough that it went all the way up into the top of my shoulder and gave myself frozen shoulder, and then went, well, that's the end of that shit.
Yeah.
And have not touched it since. And I would like to have a statement for all the people who can hear me who have played Guild Wars 2 in between now and 2016. Why didn't you people tell me that the exact camera thing that I was complaining about for 10 years got added back in the game's first expansion, Heart of Thorns, and the action cam has been fine the whole time? And people who say we tried to tell you, you didn't try hard enough.
And it was fixed the whole time.
You should have tried harder.
Damn. Also, don't keep playing something that's physically hurting you.
Well, no, I stopped. I completely stopped.
Yeah. Okay.
But then like 2 months after, like literally 2 months after I stopped, the expansion came out and it had free move. Like basically you hit a button and it just controls like a third person shooter with the mouse. And so you don't have to ever hold down anything and it plays like a normal fucking video game.
Thank God. Okay.
And if I had just stuck it out to the point where my arm became crippled.
I mean, look,
I'd be playing Guild Wars 2 to this day.
I certainly played fucking Kid Icarus a good bit, and was cranking that difficulty up. And when I saw what Liam experienced, it was like, nope, I am not going down this hallway. Fuck that.
That was an
It is
absolutely
not
wild, like Scroogean future vision.
I mean, Sakurai is nuts because it's like, yeah, it hurt me too, but release it, right? And
release it to the children. Give them a plastic stand.
And then for fighting games, when I was using pad and characters that were like high dexterity required on the D-pad, Nago Ryuki shit, I'm like, okay, my thumb is just going to die. Even the callus that I've developed that's really able to use D-pad twitching as quickly as possible for my inputs was starting to bubble up, and I'm like, yeah, no, fuck this. And the glove was my solution, But you can't keep playing when through the pain. Y'all, don't do it.
Don't do it. Like somebody reached out to me, I think it was on stream just a couple months ago. It's like, hey, I play this game and I really love it, but after a couple hours, my arm starts to really hurt. Do you have any tips on what I could do? And I said, stop playing video games entirely until your arm feels completely better, and then never play that game again. And that was not the answer they wanted. That was very obviously not the answer they wanted at all.
I mean, you can go see a physio and hear it from them if you'd like, I suppose. But
yeah, you could go see a professional and see it, and then they tell you the same thing.
Okay. I gotta use the bathroom.
I also have to use the bathroom.
BRB.
We're gonna pee.
All right. I started Arcane, but I'll wait till I'm done to get into
Well, shit.
that.
Now I gotta actually go back to start Arcane.
Yeah. It's cool, and I'm midway through, so I don't want to say much, but I will say that just holy shit, the villain Ambessa is and continues to be one of the strongest, greatest, most awesome fucking character designs ever. Like,
so they agree with you because they pushed Ambessa super hard in League.
Is she playable?
She's new.
Okay. I was wondering because I remember in the when I asked about her first season, Mel and Ambessa were not they were new characters, right? So now they just dropped. Okay, that would explain. Yeah, man. I mean, she's got like so many outfits that she wears and shows up in, and she looks incredible every time. And as a character, just an awesome character. Just love it. Love everything going on there. Fantastic. Very, very cool. I was impressed that like these characters that initially as well were, you know, I'm like, wow, what an awesome character. And it's like, oh yeah, that's not even something from the game. That's just original. I was like, holy fuck. Kudos, you know? Okay.
Does it make you want to play League of Legends?
I didn't say that. But there are moments where I do see something being emphasized and I wonder, I'm like, is that a thing in the game? Like, I see the way like certain... You know, like but I'm like, I think a bunch of it isn't. I think a bunch of it is original, but there are little things where I'm like, I wonder if that's a reference to something. You know, the camera will linger a little bit, or you'll see something like recur a bunch. For example, do you know anything about Jinx's kit?
Yeah.
Okay. Does she have a defensive move that makes her kind of shift around and dodge things? Is there something special about her that's defensive?
No. What she has is her ult is a gigantic rocket launcher.
Yeah, so there's that thing. Okay, so there's a thing that she does in the show where she kind of like quickly, almost like spider dodges.
Yeah, she gets main character powers.
Okay. That's her passive?
That's her passive?
Oh, she does have she has a passive thing that makes her move fast? Okay. It looks like she's activating something. And I'm like, that feels like something game related, but I don't know. Yeah, okay. She has shimmer, and she can speed up. Got it. Okay, because it's a clear effect that only she has when dodging a big attack coming at her that the other characters don't necessarily get.
Does Vi spend any time in that show jungling?
Does that mean middle lane beating up monsters?
Around the map beating up goons for XP.
Yes.
All right. Hey,
she actually does.
She's jungling.
100% confirmed. She does. Yeah. In fact, there's a music video or two associated because each episode kind of has like a music video up top as well. So I would say so. Yeah, sure. Anyway, more on that afterwards, I suppose. You see fucking Dio in Dragon Ball?
I did. I almost mentioned it earlier when we were talking about like gigantic big old fighting game mods, but I was like, that's one character. That's not quite as big as a massive overhaul of the whole game.
Yeah. I definitely want to jump in and take a look at that in the future, but like maybe there'll be other, if there's like one or two other characters, you know, like to fight against and see with that level of detail, that'd be fun. Because that's what I kind of like with Marvel 3, for example. I waited for a couple of characters to come out and then we did like a modded version. But holy shit, man, that's a really great Dio implementation. Really, really solid. Just and shows like proof of concept of what you can theoretically do with that game. That you can just make your own fucking insane 3v3 tag fighter with whatever going on in it. And I know that a lot of the well, you know what, actually, at first the Marvel 3 characters that were custom were like built on the bones of the existing assets, you know. So you saw like taking
Makes perfect sense.
yeah, like Iron Fist stance and a couple of particle effects from, you know, Ghost Rider or whatever here and there. But with Dio, it looks completely original, you know. So I wonder if it's like comparable or more effort for that system or engine to go as hard with a completely original character. But it'd be fun to see that trend kick off. Very cool. Anyway, so one of the big things that just dropped this morning, we've been talking a bit of for some time now about what's happening with Kadokawa.
Oh yeah, where Sony's trying to own all the anime.
Right. So we brought that up before. So Kadokawa were talking with Sony about a full acquisition. It seems as if so that has been official, and Sony Corporation Group is basically they're acquiring Kadokawa. At the very least, they're forming a alliance that involves them being the majority stakeholder. They own 10%, so it's not the full ownership. I should specify, but the reason why that's significant is because it turns out that this is actually a desperation scenario, something that happened a while earlier. So I mean, there was this big hack, of course. I mentioned they got all their ransomed documents and shit leaked out and everything. They were taking a hit. There were also a lot of their stock value had been dropping earlier in the year, and something that was looming was the company Kakao, which is a South Korean media company that owns a bunch of like K-pop stuff and is in that world, was I think a 9% shareholder and was trying to go for a hostile takeover. That company in particular also has tons of criminal business dealings. They've been accused of, fraudulently doing alleged stock shit and a bunch of bad business practices with them. And with them owning 9% and gunning for a hostile takeover, there was also a recent change in Japanese law which allowed non-Japanese companies to take over Japanese companies that originally that couldn't happen.
Bro, you can't let those Koreans own a Japanese company. That's how you get Like a Dragon plot lines.
There you go. So there was a change in the law that basically says that, any company in Japan can be bought out by any other company from anywhere. And with that, Kadokawa did not want a hostile takeover. So they went and approached Sony themselves, is basically what was rumored about a month ago. And it seems as if this deal with them now owning exactly 10% is what Kadokawa did as a, second or last resort here to avoid Kakao taking over. And so that's
God, this is hard to say.
Obviously, the super consolidation of all anime, manga, light novels, and multiple brands is not great for the future as things go. Kadokawa has their hands in every single media pie.
I mean, luckily, people can just stop watching anime.
That'll happen.
That's a thing that people do sometimes.
Or just leave it up to Adult Swim producers. But as far as it goes, it seems as if it's like, while nobody's particularly thrilled to hear about this Sony business alliance, it is the better of a second outcome, which is Kakao being much worse. And
is it?
Is what I'm reading. Apparently the way the shit they've done business wise in South Korea has been pretty awful.
Yeah, but then it wouldn't be under a Sony monopoly because they also own Crunchyroll and all that shit.
There's that. but it's I don't have the full details on the Kakao story, but I know that in addition to bad business practices, it veers into the criminal. So I hear.
Okay, so we have evil company versus evil company at home.
I hear they're very, very bad. Is what it is. So I couldn't elaborate much more on it because I am not a news reporter. But
you're reporting the news, Wooly.
Yeah, so that's what apparently is going on.
Well, I think we're going to go through that cycle of anime being a bunch of bullshit and being super restrictive, and then somehow sales go down for some reason. I don't know how people are watching these shows, followed by a new thing that says, hey, we'll let you watch it easy and clean, and we're not affiliated with these things.
As it's popping up there, I'm like, yes, there was a sentiment I saw when looking some of this up from the story, the original rumor a month ago, and then the current announcement that Kakao is worse than Sony is okay. What a lot of people have said. Besides this just popping up here. That being said,
or that anime with that Craven money.
Well, that being said, I would like to see what Kakao has to say when it comes to assessing why Madam Web flopped.
Because the critics hate it, dude. And they're out to get Sony. And Venom, the critics hated it, but audiences love that shit. So we know we're actually making good movies. They're great movies, but the well is tainted now because critics have told everyone that they're bad, even though they're not.
So Craven came out early December and was the lowest debut for a Sony released Marvel movie. And
bro, people didn't know about it. You got to release it again.
And it'll
make you more $1 billion.
These are catastrophic results coming off of also Venom: The Last Dance being the lowest grossing entry in the series. And while talking about how that's been going, the Sony Pictures CEO said, let's touch on Madam Web for a moment. It underperformed in theaters because the press just crucified it. It's not a bad film. It did great on Netflix. For some reason, the press decided they didn't want us making these films out of Craven and Madam Web, and the critics just destroyed them. They did it with Venom, but the audience loved Venom and made Venom a massive hit. These are not terrible films. They were just destroyed by critics and the press for some reason.
I'm going to hold up my hand for a second. It did well on Netflix. Are you talking about the same Netflix that is specifically making movies in which people announce their actions out loud so that people not actually watching the movie and are in a different room can follow it along because they're not paying attention?
That would be the story that came out this week. Yep, that's the one. Also,
do you remember Lawrence of Arabia on cell phones?
Yep.
Do you remember that fucking nonsense?
I sure do. But I'm also inclined to imagine that said Sony Pictures CEO here was probably the same individual or involved with the decision to re-release Morbius after the memes kicked in.
Oh, man. Yeah, no. So he has to be like, these movies are great.
You know?
These movies are great.
And all of the marketing decisions that went into Madam Web, Helicopter and all, were, I'm sure, signed off,
Bro, she leaves the movie. She walks off the set of the movie to go to a different, even worse movie. It's wild.
So, this logic is brought to you by the same thought process as fucking Pepsi.
You know what I love about social media?
Mm-hmm.
Like, genuinely love? You had to see shit like New Coke to understand that people running companies are dumb as shit. You had to see disasters that were like the dumbest fucking thing you've ever seen in your entire life to be like, wow, people running this shit must be dumb as fuck. Now, the people running companies just go and talk out loud, and you're like, wow, this is a dumb bitch motherfucker here. Holy shit.
Look at
this dumbass.
You get to hear it from the horse's mouth. Shout outs to this Skeet. I'd like a Pepsi, please. Is Coke okay? No. Pepsi was enjoyed by many tertiary Spider-Man characters in Madam Web 2024 and played a pivotal role in defeating Ezekiel Sims, ultimately doing what several automobile collisions could not. For that, Pepsi has my loyalty.
So me and Paige rewatched the Pepsi scene in Madam Web.
Yeah, you
just
did.
like a week or two ago.
Yeah, you did.
Because we were blown away at how weird it is. Because someone hands her a Pepsi and she doesn't hold it right for it to be an ad, and she doesn't open it, and she doesn't drink it.
She doesn't rotate it towards the camera?
No. It's super weird. It's super weird.
Okay. But
like she doesn't drink it.
But maybe you could get away with just like showing part of the colors if the sign is then going to murder the villain, right? If it's going to have a much bigger one early on. Because lest we forget, for example, Snakes on a Plane, right? He presents the evidence in the beginning of a crushed up Red Bull can in a little Ziploc bag, right? But, and it's like, well, that's a crushed up can, though. You can't really clearly, you know, I mean, it's not in its pristine condition. That doesn't matter because not too long afterwards, there's a wide shot of a camera with the TV surround with Red Bull sitting on top of and to the sides of the TV, and then they zoom in and eventually close in on the frame. So, you know, if there's a better product shot coming later on, then you don't have to worry about the incorrect one.
So I have linked you a trailer for Madam Web, the Pepsi trailer, in which somebody supercut all the times that Madam Web is handed a Pepsi and then awkwardly struggles to open the Pepsi on camera before giving up and not opening up the Pepsi and not drinking it. And it is fucking weird. It was so strange. It stood out to us so clearly that it looks like she doesn't know how to open a can of Pepsi.
Shout outs to this trailer for zooming in on her hands the entire time. That's pretty amazing. Wow, there's so many. Holy shit. We're on like 7 now. Oh my god.
And she does not know how to open up a Pepsi. It's weird, right? Here, I'll put it in the chat.
Oh, that's
live
super
viewers.
weird. It kind of reminds me of like beer commercials. At least in Canada, you're not allowed to drink it. So everyone's just kind of holding it and smiling and talking.
Yeah, but they pour the fucking beer.
You're allowed to pour it. That is true. But if you're holding a can or if you're holding something else that contains it, you cannot actually consume it.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Okay. Well, you know what? Craven deserves a chance. He's right.
No. You know, I learned something really genuinely insane about all these not Spider-Man movies. You know, the deal with Marvel allows them to have Tom Holland in these movies.
Oh my god.
And they just decided to not do that.
Oh my god. It's got to be the money though. It's got to be a financial. Like
it might be, but
that
like
that feels prohibitively expensive.
But they don't. Like they were absolutely allowed to have Tom Holland and Spider-Man in these movies.
Well, it is a new deal because before Marvel couldn't use him, but once the Homecoming thing started and they were like, okay, he's part of this now. Well, I imagine they would have re-signed an agreement
Oh, I'm being informed by chat that none of the Spider-Men want to work with Sony. So they would have had to get a new Spider-Man.
Well,
that's too many Spider-Men.
I mean, look, you know, the Fox Marvel universe had the decency to go out with a bang, and here they kept it going. They got a meme or two out of it.
They should have had Willem Dafoe play Spider-Man.
Okay, cook. You can cook.
But he's in high school.
And nobody knows better. Nobody can tell.
Play it completely clean.
Got it. You got there.
I think there's a possibility that Willem Dafoe would think that was super awesome and totally go for it. I think there's a realistic possibility that he would have been like, yeah, let's do it.
You don't have to wear any goblin makeup or outfit, but
So
Yeah.
someone in the chat says you'd not even de-age him with CGI. I don't know if you know this, but Willem Dafoe only appeared in the new Spider-Man movie as Green Goblin under the condition that he refused to be de-aged in any way via makeup, via CG, anything. And Alfred Molina is, I am not getting up there as the Dr. Octopus unless you de-age the shit out of me with CG and makeup.
Yeah. I remember hearing something about a condition for him. Yeah. Fantastic. Good casting. Good stuff. I like that. High school, just no one's reacting to it at all. That'd be perfect.
Because like me and Paige were talking about how much we love casting 35-year-old dudes and chicks as like high school students in old teen dramas and how fucking funny it is.
I mean, well,
it's so fucking funny.
It was weird in catching that in Twin Peaks. But like that's basically what I haven't seen it, but like isn't that also like what Euphoria is? Is people?
I don't know Euphoria either.
I think it's like people in their 30s, kind of like being high school kids.
That's fucking great, dude. I love it.
Speaking of great casting, Jason Momoa to play Lobo.
See, that's great
in Supergirl.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
Seems like a role that the actual person Jason Momoa would really, really enjoy doing.
Perfect casting job right there. Like that is Professor Xavier level. Like
way better than fucking Aquaman.
Yes, 1,000,000%. Yeah, I'd say like Xavier, Tony Stark, are like the standout, like absolute perfect casting jobs over the years, and like this is right up there. This is great.
I recently read a little story factoid about the casting process for Xavier with Patrick Stewart. Is when they went to him and they went to him to be like, can you please be Charles Xavier? And they handed him an X-Men comic. He looked at them and said, why am I on the cover of this comic book?
Shit. It's great. Yeah, and also the second James Gunn movie is going to be Supergirl, and I guess this is going to be a Supergirl movie with Lobo in it, so fuck yeah, whatever the fuck that is. I hope he's getting after Santa Claus and just
doing all his stupid Lobo shit.
Doing his stupid Lobo shit for the majority of the movie. Yes, exactly. Solid. Do you know anything about Recettear?
I know a bunch about Recettear. And the question is, do you pronounce it Recettear, which it is correctly pronounced by its spelling, or do you pronounce it Recettear, which makes sense because of racketeering, because that game's about capitalism.
Ho! Yeah. Okay, well, I'm going to go with Recettear because I haven't heard it spoken aloud.
Dude, whatever. That game's awesome.
This was the original item shop girl game, right?
Absolutely.
There's a bunch of shit that came afterwards that I believe like that tried to ape it, but this is the original one. So yeah,
absolutely. Tiny little anime girl running a fucking item store, gotta fucking make money or be on the street. Fucking go capitalism.
So the HD edition has been announced and is going to be coming out. Recettear and item shop. And yeah, you basically follow around people in a dungeon and then get shit and bring it back and mark the prices up. And
the dungeon crawling is an incredibly minor part of that game. It is mainly about running that shop.
And then you gouge the fuck out of people.
Yeah,
out of heroes coming through.
Yeah, fuck them.
Yeah. I've seen the capital.
How am I supposed to beat the Demon King with these prices? I don't give a shit.
I've seen the capitalism ho quote before.
That game rules. This is good news.
I mean, it's one of those like early you know that genre of light novels that were like, what if it was Dragon Quest, but you're a slime and you're stuck in whatever your little sister's a vending machine.
Into a goddamn anime, I think.
Exactly, etc. That like it feels like this is like one of those original concepts. It was like, what if you were the shopkeep in one of these games? Actually,
what if your potions were too strong for you?
Everybody loves a good fucking asshole shopkeep.
I can't sell you my strongest potions. They're much too strong for you. Oh, I'm going to lose it. Oh, I'm going to start laughing at like deep fried decade-old memes. Oh.
The game Chrono Trigger did not want you to buy the Demon Edge when you went to the monster shop, but I fucking bought it because it was red and it looked cool. It was way too expensive. It was a bad idea.
Oh, I did it to myself. Oh, fuck.
Yeah, right?
If anybody wants to know why I'm losing my shit over like literally nothing, you can go look at an old video from like 15 fucking years ago called Potion Seller. I need your strongest potions. I'm going into battle. It's so stupid. And I've like laughed myself to vomiting while watching it.
Alright.
It only hits if you played Oblivion though.
Well,
it hits a lot harder. It hits a lot harder if you played Oblivion. Like a lot harder.
Okay. Well, that's a filter for me. You see fucking Gato? Hoi 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 hoi.
That could be a lot of things. You could be asking me about a cat. You'd be asking me about the guy who gives you silver points in Chrono Trigger. You're talking about Gato.
When I say Gato, and I then go hoi 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 hoi.
You mean Mark of the Wharves.
There's only one Gato that goes hoi 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 hoi.
I did not see Gato from City of the Wharves.
You should go look at the trailer for Gato.
I'm going to go look at it. Oh, he looks great.
He looks fucking awesome. So Gato is back. He does palms. He does strikes. He has a dark cloak now. And his story is pretty fucking sick. So after the last game, he was blinded by his father's vicious attack.
I remember his dad blinded him in his ending. What a bummer.
And so now that he's been blinded, he has started to regain his sight so he can see, but
a little bit.
But relying on his sight limits him, and he fights slower. So he chooses to fight in darkness. So he's worked his style to be completely blind. And he's going back to join the tournament to get revenge on his dad.
Oh, he's just got his eyes like closed.
Yeah, because like his shitty sight is worse than using shitty sight is worse than just not using it at all.
Crazy.
I mean,
that's stupid as shit.
That's awesome.
But I dig it.
I want that blind Kenshi shit. I love it. I love that.
Oh, dude, it looks so good.
I'm closing my eyes. I'm using my ears. You can see me though? Yeah, shut up.
Damn it. I'm fucking, I have all this, I'm so tired and I have all this deep fried shit in my fucking brain. So I saw somebody in the chat say he ate that 1 day blinding stew. And now I'm ruined.
Is that an item?
And now I'm going to curse you with it.
Is that an item for sale?
It is not. It is a completely different thing that I accidentally left up over my entire final part of Metaphor. I accidentally left this stupid meme image on like the final like 6 hours of my Metaphor stream. So it's just tainted with this nonsense.
How to punish my daughter. My daughter is biting her hair. I'm a single father. I don't have the maternal instinct. Calling all moms. Feed her a stew that makes her blind. Feed her a stew that makes her go blind for 1 day. Stew that blinds her for a day. Feed her a type of stew that makes her blind for 1 day. 1 day blinding stew. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, sure. That'll do. That works.
Why'd Gato eat a whole bucket of it?
Why? Gato, no! Gato, don't eat the 1 day blinding stew! Oh fuck.
Oh shit. Okay. Oh no.
Well, yeah, he's cool.
Oh.
I do wonder, and I'm probably alone in this, but Gato's a super badass character from Mark of the Wolves, but he was always he has a pretty, you know, he has a move list that has like his big palm strikes, his big like heaven walk where he like stomps on you and goes up.
He's got a bunch of hops that go into different shits.
So when they added him to King of Fighters as a guest character proper, they added a bunch more moves to him. They gave him like a second series of hops that do a bunch of other stuff. And cool. he was one of the best characters in King of Fighters 11 because of all the new moves they gave him. And I'm kind of wondering, like, are those
more hops?
Well, are those dream match only moves? Or
yeah, maybe they're pretty hyper.
Because we're going back to the original game he came from. But if they gave him a bunch of bullshit for the KOF games, are we going to retain that or not? You know, that big air dash and the big air counter and stuff that he got a whole bunch of crazy shit. It would be kind of wild if you got introduced to him in King of Fighters and then saw him in the original game with half the moves. You know, I don't know. I guess we didn't see anything. We saw one new thing in the trailer where he does like a kind of a. Well, no, he actually had a catch counter before. So, yeah, we didn't see anything super new. But anyway, Gato.
But now he's doing it with his eyes closed.
Eyes closed. And you've never seen a character in these games, hate the trailer core music harder. Frowny, angry man just hates everything, super angry. And it feels like the music that plays does not fit him.
Doesn't fit him at all.
That's fine. Can't wait for him to see his sister and then just walk away and spit in disgust.
Hate you, sister.
She loves.
How come Dad didn't blind you? Then you'd be stronger.
She loves him so much, and he's just looking. I feel like back in the day after, maybe it was either with you or with Shmup God Pat. Like after randomly playing sessions of this game, we just put your hands up and yell "Yamete Shibai!"
That was definitely not me. Yeah. That was definitely you and Shmup God Pat.
Yeah, I think so. Fucking Gato, you big angry dork. Anyway, along with that trailer, I guess SNK set a separate studio off for specifically working on KOF, called KOF Studio. And
well, that's good.
So that's going to be the fighting game people, but they're also working on the Samurai Showdown RPG, whatever that means. So,
I'm sorry, what?
There's a Samurai Showdown RPG that was announced at EVO, and that'll be coming, as well as a return to Art of Fighting, which who knows what the fuck that'll be, but.
Man, I don't know if I literally even believe that.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's insane. It's like, why would you do Art of Fighting? And
you combined all your fighting game franchises, or nearly all of them, into one big one called King of Fighters. Why would you split them back up?
Well, so Garou and Fatal Fury have always been awesome, separate on its own.
Yeah, well, Fatal Fury's way better than fucking Art of Fighting.
Yeah, but nobody likes Art of Fighting. That's the thing. Art of Fighting is weird and awkward and goofy, and no one likes it. They're super not great. So I'm very curious, and I'm wondering, if anything, I'm suspecting that they're going to bring those back as not fighting games as well. You know, because you don't bring back Rio Robert and fucking that whole thing.
Oh, who gives a shit?
To be a competing franchise with the KOF games and Mark of the Wolf games you're about to announce, you know? Super weird. Anyway, we will find out more. And yeah. So then there's this week as Sonic 3 has been popping off, and apparently Live and Learn is all over it. Crush 40 songwriter Johnny Gioeli is suing Sega over the ownership of Live and Learn, because apparently over the years he did not know that it had been used dozens and dozens of times in all these different games until he spoke to a fan who pointed out, hey, it's super cool that we hear it all the time. And he's like, what are you talking about? And he did not know that it had been used over 20 times over the last 2 decades. The deal that they have is also one where he says it's not super clear that they do not own the entire song. They own the lyrics, but he believes that the master recording and musical compositions is a split joint ownership, and is basically taking it to court to try and outline exactly what legally he's owed. And
he's super boned. He's not going to get shit.
And he's seeking like $500K in damages, $500K in restitution, and says that the composition is likely joint owned, but with them over the years having used it multiple times, he's basically pointing out that, or at least claiming that, he needed to also be signing off on each of those uses. So I'm not a lawyer, but the fact that he let this go for decades is not in his favor. Nope, that is pretty not great. However, it depends on what the ink dried, right? What does the actual contract say from back in the day?
Mm-hmm. If it says we can't use this without your express permission, hey, maybe.
The amount of time combined with it's up to interpretation, not great. But if it's pretty cut and dry on it's the lyrics and not the rest of it, then there's something to it. He also kind of told the story of how he recorded all of it on his own and used his own home instruments for the full composition, and everything that ended up being submitted was produced by him entirely and was not part of what the contracted ownership that Sega was supposed to have. But it was not contracted for them to own all of the musical arrangements and producing and recording as well.
So here's what his shot is. Here's what I believe his shot is. I've been thinking about this because of The Witcher, right? So remember Andre? Oh, I never get his name right, but
Angry Witcher Man. Yes,
right. He sold the rights to a CD Projekt Red for a pittance, and he said, "Y'all are pussies. Video games ain't shit.
Mm-hmm.
Take that shit forever. Like I give a fuck."
Yep.
Right. And it's Sapkowski, and then they made a shit $1 billion with The Witcher. And he's like, "Yeah, give me some of that shit. You fucked me." And they were like, "No, we didn't." And they were going to fight over it. And then they settled. You remember how they settled super fast?
Before the show came out, I believe.
They were like 100% in the right.
Mm-hmm.
And then a couple years later, hey, look, Witcher 4's coming.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, okay, clearly they didn't want to fucking be developing that while fighting a lawsuit with the author of the fucking books and all that shit, right? I think this gentleman's shot is, man, they probably want to use live and learn a lot in the future. So the best time for him to have filed this lawsuit is about 8 months ago when the movie's coming out.
So no, actually, because it turns out that the use of it in the movie was a separate deal signed with Paramount that was totally okay, apart from its usage in the games.
Oh, then he's super dumb.
Everything about its usage with the movies has been cleared complete with Paramount as a completely separate thing.
Oh man, he is super dumb.
This is just for the games over the last 20 years. There might be some sort of a settlement offer or so. Who knows? Admittedly, it is like $500K is surprisingly low for this type of lawsuit. I feel like you usually hear, like bigger numbers float around with infractions being in the dozens. But it literally, until the actual contract that was signed 20 years ago is presented, who the fuck knows? But clearly, it's kind of wild to have a fan go up and be like, "Yo, love that, love you, it's so great. It's been awesome hearing you all this time over the years," and Tim just being like, "What the fuck are you talking about, huh?" and not knowing. And you're like, "Yeah, Live and Learn's been That's been a thing.
It's been a thing, man.
It's in Smash Brothers, you know? Like, yeah.
Did you not know it was in Smash Brothers?
That's kind of
Did you not Google the title of your own song once in like 18 years?
So I wasn't there for it, but they did perform a couple times at Too Many Games. I think one time they were like I think one time they were late or something like that. But I had heard from people or so that there's a like, damn, I wish we weren't just the Sonic people kind of energy to the thing. But then that kind of turned around and became like, nah, it's cool. We love doing this. Right. So I don't know where it's at now. And this could be completely baseless. I'm just talking about what someone told me that was up. But like some of that, like I want to do other stuff might have contributed to not necessarily paying attention to the use of what was going on over the last 20 years or so, you know, who knows? Anyway, well, I'm sure we'll find out more, but I also imagine, cause there's also like a bit of a like, we don't, he says like, oh, we don't want to like, you know, sour the mood for any of the fans or anybody that has good memories of the song and stuff. But it's like, yeah, I think though that overall, like a lawsuit will sour the company from ever wanting to make a Crush 40 song a part of Sonic ever again, you know? So
what's up with this trend of people suing people and then going, I'd love to work with you?
I mean, that's what made the career. Right? They were not they were not Crush 40 until until Live and Learn. So it clearly would be their best shot at a continued lucrative career if they wanted to work together, but they don't want to sour that, but they do want to have the lawsuit, and it doesn't really work that way. I imagine.
Want you to give me all the money from the lawsuit, and then I want you to work with me, even though we worked a while ago, and then I sued you for all the money that you gave me.
And Sega's like, sorry, can't hear you playing unbeatable or undefeatable way too loud. I'm reaching out to the other side. That song's such a fucking bop. Anyway.
Man, late, man. You're late.
Speaking of being late, 2025 is the year of Lost Soul Aside. It's finally coming out. Or so they say.
Man, I don't even remember what that is.
That's the one that's Devil May Noctis. Noctis May Cry. China. One man.
Man, that's actually not narrowing it down. Wow, that is just Noctis. Holy shit.
Okay. So for 9 years, there have been footage and there's been trailers on Twitter of a character that looks kind of like Noctis doing Devil May Cry shit. And it was one dude in China, Yang Bing, on his own.
That's such a good name. Oh my God.
Yeah. And he'd been working by himself on this cool looking thing. And it got more recognition. It got shared around, and it looked like a pretty high octane action game. And then eventually, I believe that led to some funding, and he got a studio built out of it as well. I don't believe he's working alone anymore. Certainly, it seems like it's a part of a larger.
It doesn't look like that's possible. Wow, 17 minutes of gameplay from 3 years ago. Holy shit!
Mm-hmm. So I think there's a larger funding push behind it, and but like it had been in development for 9 years. Now I think while we're talking like Silk Song type numbers and shit, this has gotten the benefit of the doubt over the years based on the fact that it was one dude. The one guy benefit like applied, but I think at least 2 or 3 years ago was when it started to like ramp up and become a bigger thing though. So can
I be incredibly unfair for a second?
Sure.
I hope this game is 9 years good.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like when you look and you see the Noctis,
that's where we're at, man. It sucks.
Well, the main character looks like Noctis because at the time Noctis was not yet out, but he was inspired by the Versus 13 footage, and began this project. So like, You're seeing the fucking echoes of Versus 13 in this game, is how old it is. It's got air combos and dodges and parries and shit, so we'll see. We'll see what happens, you know? But yeah, 9 years is a fucking long time. So we'll see. But yeah, it's one of those, to me, I'm kind of like, a game that I've been watching developed on Twitter for the last decade, finally cracking the surface. If it does come out, it's like, okay, hey, remember this thing? Because there's a bunch of them, you know. And I've referred to them before. I'm like, there's this game. I mean, for a while, Bloodborne Kart and Bloodborne PXX demake was one of those things. But the stop sign game, we all know the stop sign action game. You know, doing cool shit. There's the nuke parry one. There's the one with the tank where you're literally doing action game stuff with a tank that like melees and does stuff. There's the musical one where like you're conducting an orchestra while you're doing attacks and sliding around and all the beats are happening to the beat. There's a whole bunch of them. And you see them all the time and you're like, oh, that's that one and that's that one. But you're looking for one of these looks at the game to happen in not a test environment, you know? So yeah, if you've seen these and or retweeted them, you know which ones I'm talking about. But Jamphibian, is that the one with the frog and the frog one? Absolutely, that's another. So anyway, Lost Soul Aside was just one of those early ones. And there's a little bit of that where I'm like, okay, I'd like these Twitter games to make it into reality. So I am in its corner. I'm hoping it happens.
All right, so after this comes Silk Song, and after that comes the coup de grace Yandere Sim. It's coming right at us. It's going to be like 12, 13 years good.
I mean, didn't that already unofficially drop anyway?
I got to be honest, I'm on the Wikipedia page to make this joke, and I actually have no idea. It's super unclear.
I believe it already came out unofficially. Yeah.
Because the wiki article lists it as upcoming. And the release date is TBA.
Is Team Cherry 2 people?
3.
Okay.
Plus music, I think.
Okay.
And they're Australian, so I guess.
So technically, you don't get the one guy benefit of the doubt then.
It's like a couple guy benefit of the doubt though.
Yeah.
I thought. Wait, hold on. Let me check to see if they're Kiwi or Australian. I think they're from Australia. Adelaide, South Australia. So they were founded in 2014. 3 years later, they put out Hollow Knight, and since that, they have been working on Silk Song. So more than half of their company's life has been spent developed on Silk Song. So it better be half a company good.
All right,
or more.
I got a hypothetical, Pat.
Yeah.
Okay, you've got your game. You've got your game that is in development hell for the better part of a decade, and then Goodwill gets burnt away. Or the moment it starts to slip through the cracks, about 3 years in, you announce its cancellation. But then you keep working on it.
I don't think there's a win on
and
that.
Then out of nowhere, 9 years later, is there a perception change that hits a little differently if you cancel it and then drop it out of nowhere just for the fucking hustle of the game? Even though it's not financially viable whatsoever, especially if you need people to invest or work from the or contribute from the outside.
So we're old now, and what with going into the new year, I think we can leverage our oldness for some perspective. So there was a recent Civi video that came out talking about Half-Life 2, right? Going into the development of Half-Life 2. And one of the things that people remembered as a result of watching that video is what used to be called Valve Time. You must remember Valve Time. Valve always takes everything.
Bring
out everything.
Right.
And Blizzard had something similar, and that's the era of when it's done. Half-Life 2 came out 6 years after Half-Life 1, and they had that game stolen out from under them, like stolen, right? And we got Half-Life 2 out of that shit. Regular games do 6 years, and we get shit like fucking Suicide Squad now. Like, the context of lengths of time and reasonability has like completely fallen away. And unless, like, Hollow Knight is a small indie project. So, like, you better be dropping like fucking Undertale or some shit on us with this kind of build up.
But if nobody knows, if it's out of nowhere because it's already been canceled, and then you just bust the doors open, the gall. There's something about the gall of doing that that's kind of respectable. However, as I'm saying this, I just realized what would likely happen is you announce its cancellation, and then people that are really excited about it might make their own spiritual successor, and you get a PT-like situation. So that
you mean Crowsworn?
Or what was the other one? Shit. There's another Hollow Knight that's not Hollow Knight. Or Silk Song before Silk Song.
I'm thinking about Crowsworn.
Okay. I feel like there's another one that did. Anyway. Nine Souls. Is Nine Souls something like that? I feel
Nine Souls is Hollow Knight-ish. It's
yes,
very good, and it's out.
Nine Souls is the one I was thinking of, art style and yeah, energy. Yeah. So
it's very good.
So then you run into that problem of like your thunder might get stolen, and then if you do the big drop later, it might just be like, yeah, well, we've been chilling here with the other shit, so who cares, you know? Remember? Remember
I'd
that.
Like to go.
Just gonna lastly say, remember that at some point on this very podcast, we both realized that Ghost Song came out.
Yeah, that was weird.
It was released, playable.
That was very strange.
In this world.
I want to go to one of my favorite videos on the internet. It's Hollow Knight Silk Song gameplay from Nintendo Treehouse Live E3 2019.
I know the one.
So this E3 2019 was 5 years ago, and my favorite thing about this video is that the most recent comment is from 3 years ago, just checking back in to make sure this wasn't a dream. Like all the comments are from like 6 months, 3 years, 4 years ago, going, oh, I hope this game comes out soon.
Anyway,
dude.
So yeah, let's see what comes of Lost Soul Aside then, and by extension,
It's got Silk Song in it.
Inside the game.
Yeah, Lost Soul Aside is the Glittermitten Grove of Silk Song.
You just have to find it. Damn. Okay. Silk Song getting Chino Hero Project funding. Holy shit. Well, beyond that, there's a bunch of like Switch 2. I'm not gonna fucking get into any of that until
they're gonna announce it. After the holiday season. Because they don't want to fuck up Switch sales.
But it's like, we'll get into that when they actually do something.
Although, what are you thinking, like February, maybe?
Within the next March? 3 months is the story. You know. But there was that trailer that did show you a pretty good look at some of the new features. Fuck. I can't find it now, but it goes through some of the, like, you know, it's got the U-Haul effect on the joysticks. It's got the, you know, better image quality, stronger processor, etc. And then Sniff-A-Vision on the Joy-Cons, you know? And then it just ended in the middle of a very normal presentation. Princess Peach is like, ooh, I've worked up a big sweat. And you see the little particles going out of the TV into the Joy-Cons and then into the player's nose. Snoof. Good stuff.
Terrible.
Solid.
Hate it.
Let's take some letters.
If you want to send in a letter, send it to castlesuperbeastmail@gmail.com. That's castlesuperbeastmail@gmail.com.
Brett says,
Hey, man.
Dear F2P Wooly and SSR Pat,
Sick.
I'm crawling with Gatcha caves. I'm crawling from the Gatcha caves to share this recent kerfuffle from Fate Grand Order that you might find hilarious. The Japanese server for FGO just had its Christmas event, and there was an exploit that people discovered where they could cash in a reward for Saint Quartz, the Gatcha currency, repeatedly. This was caught within an hour, and the server was put into emergency maintenance for almost a full day. They came back online, and the company running the game said they were going to take away... They weren't going to take away anything that people rolled with the exploited quartz, but they did take back the amount of quartz generated by the exploit. Now, if you didn't spend anything, you're fine, and it's just a quick reset back to the amount you had before. But if you did use anything to roll the gacha, and then the amount was deducted from your existing quartz as punishment. If you had less than what you cheated, then you were now minus on Saint Quartz. One of the main artists on the game posted a screenshot on Twitter of them being 90 quartz negative. That's about 3 months of login bonuses and weekly missions. You can't even buy your way out of gacha debt either. Free quartz and paid quartz are tracked separately.
Oh, man, that's really funny.
So if you use real money to buy more, you'll get what you paid for, but you won't get any more of the dailies until your debt is paid. Hope the 5-star was worth it because they won't be getting a new one for a long time. Let this be a lesson. Don't try to cheat the gacha. The house always wins.
So I don't know what the legality of that is, but...
free to play game, fucking no money spent. I don't know.
If you this, do you remember the DoorDash hack? Do you remember that?
Which one was this now?
This was about 2 years ago, where people figured out a way to order things off DoorDash and fuck up their credit card information in such a way that it would never actually be debited from their card.
Okay.
And so they just got DoorDash for free.
Oh my god.
It's similar to the Chase Money glitch.
Yeah, I was gonna say I didn't hear about that, but I heard about the Chase Money glitch, which is holy shit.
The long and short of it is that the UI on the DoorDash app on your phone just had like a minor bug that if you exploited it would not charge your card.
Oh my god.
DoorDash then fixed that bug at some point, like 18, 19 months into the process. So you got to go online and like scroll on TikTok and people going, oh my God, they fixed the hack. I owe like $35,000 in DoorDash.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Because it would negative out your account and then it would attempt to charge it.
Or the Chase Bank glitch, which is not a fucking glitch. It's a stupid thing that puts you in insane debt as soon as they correct it.
Yeah, don't do that.
But nah, though, it's a hack, you guys. Get in on it.
Don't do it.
God.
Don't do that.
There was one...
Don't commit bank fraud. Hey, how about that? Hey, here's a thumbs up.
There was one dude who discovered something, something with his account. Was this Australia or so? It was years ago, and it was just for him. And he noticed on his ATM that like whenever he went to take out like I think tens, he would get hundreds or something like that, you know. And it was just this crazy thing where like he spent like 15 years or so living large before like it all collapsed on him. But he like literally like he started like taking like incredible vacations, changed his whole life, you know, like event like but like his wife found out and then eventually left, and he kind of kept going and went further into it, and they eventually did catch up and they did get there, and like his main thing at the end was like it super wasn't worth it by after a couple of years, because you get so paranoid about when they're coming around the corner that like that you can't really enjoy yourself. Like you just start stressing about it all collapsing because it's built on fucking a house of cards, you know?
So somebody asked a good question. Why would the wife leave? Well, you see, if you're married to somebody who's spending all of their income out of bank fraud and you know about that and you enjoy the proceeds of that, you are now complicit in bank fraud.
You are married, you are sharing your assets, you too are fucking going to jail. Yeah.
So it's time to leave and be like, I didn't know about any of that stuff, and when I did know about that stuff, I left and I didn't touch it, blah blah blah.
So that was a particularly nutty one. But anyway, all this to say that as if the gacha FOMO addiction triggers are not enough, we now have debt. Real debt in your dailies.
You know what I'm going to do, man? I'm going to pull one over on people that have my address and credit card number that I sent them.
They'll never know it was me. They'll never know. Get out to Chase right now, y'all. Free money. Go get it.
Teach your kids how to read. Don't give them the iPad. If they give them the iPad, then they end up doing the Chase Money glitch. Come on.
Well, I mean, the Chase Money glitch also requires I suppose, like an understanding that, like, yeah, they're gonna find out. That's just...
You know who I blame for this?
You gotta live a little life on that one.
You know who I blame for this?
Mm-hmm.
Two people. One, the Monopoly Man.
Okay.
Monopoly Man teaches you that a bank error in your favor will give you $200, and that's that. Piece of shit, Monopoly Man. That's wrong.
I mean...
Second of all is the influencers who, in order to make viral videos about the Chase Money glitch, went to the bank, pulled out their own money, threw it up in the air, made videos about the Chase Money glitch, then picked up their money off the fucking sidewalk and then put it back into the bank.
Now,
and uploaded the video.
Now, I'll have you know that when I learned how to play Monopoly in my house, I was taught the game with house rules. And house rules included fucking, if you can grab money from the bank without anyone noticing, then tough shit. If you could,
you know what?
If you could stuff it under the board, then stuff it under the board.
That was not a house rule in my household. What it was that my dad held on to the bank and he watched the kids like hawks because we'd try and steal from the bank.
And guess what? That was actually more in line with the original game's principles.
Oh, you mean the landlord's game?
Yes. So, in fact, if you were cheating at Monopoly, you were playing it correctly. Let's see.
Dude, the fact that it's like a wholesome family board game, and by the end of Monopoly, everyone's miserable
Grandma.
and pissed off and mad, and that's the point. And
Grandma,
no one gets it,
you cheating whore.
It's like the game of Monopoly is this amazing subversive piece of art, and it's been so subsumed by capital that people are like, oh yeah, let's play Monopoly with kids.
Yeah.
Like, you're supposed to use Monopoly to teach the kids how the system doesn't work, brother.
Well, because let's say that the responsible parents are like, yeah, and then at the end, we're going to sit everybody down and have a little lesson and go, so, what did you learn? But those same parents get so caught up in the game.
Yeah, that's the problem.
That you're like, give me Park Place, you fucking...
like, you know, like,
you little
Risk
shit.
does the same thing. Like, you ever play a game of Risk? You know what happens?
Yeah.
People get entrenched, and the game goes super long, and everyone gets tired of it because the rules of Risk are built to create trench warfare situations where it just becomes this miserable slog that everyone wants to quit.
Nobody learns any of the lessons at the end because you get pulled into that shit. It's too real. All right, let's take one over here from Chris. Hey, greetings, Hermoso and Bello. Final Fighterpedia here. What's up? Thank you, Chris. Last year, I was fortunate enough to get tickets to the Nier Automata, The End of Data Orchestra.
Sounds probably pretty good.
It was super duper awesome, but what I did not expect was for the concert to be a canon sequel to Nier Automata, as in the concert itself is an immediate continuation after the credits.
You should have actually expected that. I'm not even joking.
It also had footage of missions that were in the Nier remake, but not the original, and I had to avert my eyes since I didn't finish the remake. When is a cross-media empire too much for a franchise?
I think Nier is way over the line.
You've named it. I remember Mr. Clem's video describing him hunting down the stage play footage, bootleg fan translations of drama CDs, manga, several games across different consoles. God help anyone trying to get the complete story.
Especially now that they took all that shit down.
The only other game that's so disjointed I can think of is Kingdom Hearts, maybe.
Yeah, but Kingdom Hearts, those are video games.
Yes.
All that shit. Like, it's video game over here, but they're still games.
Thank you for your time and treatment like the national treasure he is. Will do. Now, yes, I don't think anything will ever beat Yoko Taro's bullshit. That is the peak, because until another game franchise asks you to go catch a stage play, limited only to Japan, to get the full story.
Only to this city.
Then no. No, I don't. I will not say anyone approaches that at all.
It's wild
upsetting
how much of Nier Automata's characters' stories exist purely in supplemental material that no one was ever supposed to see.
Now, if we like establishing that nothing will touch Nier in the obtuse bullshit level, I will then go and say Guilty Gear requiring you to play a pachinko game. To find out about the next chapter of the story and where things were going with Sin and Soul. Vast Edge is some bullshit as well, but I feel as if that's almost like Daisuke not wanting to just give in and making a pachinko nothing game. He's like, if I'm gonna make an entry, it's gonna matter. So just like Overture mattered, this is gonna matter, you know? But then Dust Strikers and Judgment, shut up, who cares? Don't talk about it.
So I have a property that went about this in reverse and has the worst watch read order of anything ever. But there's nothing that could be done because of the way they made it. So The Witcher is a book series that came out but was not translated into English until extremely recently. CD Projekt Red gets the rights to the Witcher series for video games. However, they have to deal with the fact back in 2014 that like these books basically don't exist outside of Poland. So they have to make a story that can't assume working knowledge of the books. So they give Geralt amnesia in Witcher 1, and they kind of redo something here or there, and there's some minor inconsistencies, whatever. Then, when Witcher 2 starts getting made, some of those books are being translated. So now, people all over the world have read some of the Witcher books. So they go with their plan, and in Witcher 2, Geralt starts to regain his memory. Here's where it gets stupid. The optimal reading order for the Witcher series, if you're playing the games, is play through the entirety of Witcher 1. Then play up to the end of chapter 1 of Witcher 2 and read a couple of the books. Then finish Witcher 2, but before the game's final boss fight, read the remainder of the books, except for Season of Storms. Then play Witcher 3 and all of its DLC. Then play Thronebreaker. Then read the 6th Witcher book, Season of Storms, and now you're ready.
It spoils
for Witcher 4.
It spoils the shit. Oh, that sucks.
No, it's not. It's not that it spoils it. It's that Geralt doesn't know the events of the books, and the game assumes you don't either until Geralt regains his memory.
Okay.
And he regains his memory over the course of Witcher 2.
Okay, so I guess there's a different category here, but like, are those books, well, no, because they're what the adaptation is based off of. But you know how, like, for example, in Halo, it's like, you can go read the Cole Protocol, right?
You could, you can do that.
You don't have to, but if you do, you got some context that makes the whole thing more coherent. Is there a bit of that going on?
Witcher 3 assumes you have read everything. Now it doesn't. So I didn't read any of it, and there was nothing that I didn't understand, and there's nothing that I was like, oh, that's crazy. There are like very, very minor things that you would get out of it, but the biggest one is that Geralt's long-term romantic love interest, Yennefer, her entire storyline is exclusively in the books, And when you start Witcher 3 and his memory is back, he's like, oh my God, I remembered the love of my life.
Right.
That I've now finally started to talk to.
That only existed out in these off-game things. Yeah, okay.
Now, there is like some fun little things where there's a character you run into in Blood and Wine who Geralt remarks, how are you alive? Because he died in the books. But he actually explains, and it's funny because the character is like atomized into jelly, like straight up gooified into jam, and they're like, how'd you fucking get over that? And he's like, I got over it. So it's
Shepherd.
Like
I got better.
Play a little loose with it at times.
Okay. I do feel as well that like there's just a persistent, like, this is many franchises kind of suffer from the book translation time problem. Shit where it just takes forever to come over. For a long time, there were, I mean, again, talking about Guilty Gear, because obviously I did the big deep dive on it. While I was making that, there was a Guilty Gear novel that, like, it came out, but just was not translated. And so there's shit where a lot of times there's supplemental material here, but only fan translations are what we have to go off of. I mean, shit, like if we're talking about Sacred and Terrible Air, that's not an official translation, that's a fan translation. And then there's after the one that I read, there was a better one that came out after, so
oh man, that sucks. I hate that.
Yeah, so it's like there's something like anytime we're talking about that shit, it's like that's literally if they just didn't officially bother to like release the thing in North America or in English speaking countries or whatever, that's not obtuse because the creator's being obtuse. It's just shitty fucking translation problems, or they don't consider the supplemental material important enough to bother. All right, let's take one last one here from Nepwar. Hello, New Year Wooly and Patrick's Eve.
What's up, man?
My apartment currently looks like something that would show up in r/male living space.
Sick.
As a fashionista for gamers, do you have any poster or decorative recommendations so it doesn't look so depressing in here? Much love from Network.
Look at the fucking space behind me.
Yeah,
I don't have nothing back there.
I've got a progression chart for this, I suppose, because I don't know if this applies to everybody or whatever, but this is what I did. I bought a bunch of game posters and shit and anime posters and stuff back in the day that I would
get a cute dog to put in your room.
Okay.
Wow.
What I did was I kind of had those up for a while. I would get like some shit from the Chinatown shop that had like these bootleg anime posters or whatever. I got a couple of those, and then I kind of like when I started filling up the space in my old room, which is where we used to record, I eventually started also putting up like Nintendo Power, like our things I had clipped and like, shit that came with the games I bought physically or whatever. And I had a bunch of those built up, Artist Alley like prints. And so I eventually just kind of made like a punk room wall that was like, oh, my wallpaper is just all shit stacked on top of each other.
It's cool.
Yeah, I like that effect. That was fun for a while when I just didn't know what else to fill the space with. Then I got like one or two of those Mondo posters and it was like, oh shit, like I got to figure out how to make this nice. So I started getting like, I got rid of those posters and then I got like one or two wall scrolls, and then like at Chinatown, you get your Advent Children wall scroll, you get your Trigun, you get your Samurai Champloo, and you put those some bitches up all across the room and you get basically like, it's not that for not as expensive. You get like your walls covered with 3 or 4 wall scrolls that fill the space up and start to create some good negative space. So you can, I got my Vash and my knives with a little gap filling up the wall. And then eventually I would say at some point when moving in with Punch Mom and kind of going like, okay, well, this is a joint living space. How do we come together on this? The compromise is let me pick out a couple of my absolute favorite game and movie posters, frame them, and just put them up on the walls, clean in isolation. And yeah, no more than like, 4 or so, 3 or 4. And that becomes the entirety of my, fandom expression, or if you will. So yeah, I think you can kind of do it that way. And the wall scrolls are a nice, inexpensive in between step, you know. But you got to get out of it, children.
I brought this up recently. I remember in 2001, I was playing a game called Metal Gear Solid 2. And in that game, Raiden, or Jack's girlfriend, Rose, calls him and starts crying her ass off about how he doesn't have any posters or shit in his fucking room. And he's like, I just sleep in that room. And at the time, I was sitting in a room that looked exactly like that because it had shit all other than like my bed and my fucking PlayStation 2.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember being like, wow, she's fucking nuts. She is being such a dramatic little baby right now. Holy fuck. Why are you causing a fight out of nothing, Rose? Holy shit.
Male bachelor room. Yep. It's real. It's super real. Like, r/male living space. Like, I haven't been there, but I know what that is in my soul already. You know, I've been there. I've lived there.
Just put up whatever your wife tells you to put up on the walls.
See,
just tell your wife she can have anything she wants on the walls, and then just let her pick it out and just put it up.
See, but that's the thing though, is like when it came to like working that out with Punch Mom or so, it wasn't so much like, no, don't put your shit up or whatever, because it wasn't like that, you know. It was more just like, I have a lot of stuff that I have to express that I put up that I'm a fan of. She didn't have as many things. There was a couple of things that she was into that she would be, like, you know, have stuff for, but there just wasn't as many. So it would just be like, oh, my shit just overtakes by sheer volume of it, you know. And I kind of was like, I think it's kind of like elegant to pare it down to a couple things, you know. And then I'd started doing the record collection bit and stuff, and, you know, kind of like having these sort of, yeah, I don't know, more of a gallery type vibe to the shit that you like, you know. And also I have a friend who worked at a print shop who was able to print out some fucking super clean movie posters that I didn't have otherwise, and so I was able to like use that as well, and got a good hookup. Anyway, I think that's your
just listen to your wife.
Well, I think
that's my advice. Wait, our male living spaces.
The whole point of this was that they were saying that that's what they have going. My apartment looks like our male living space. Wall scrolls. Okay. Wall scrolls take up a lot of space. You can space them out and it'll look okay.
Okay, so what you need to do is you need to find a female friend that you trust their opinion and is willing to tell you shoot straight with you. And you need to show them the place and be like, okay, what can I do here that makes you less worried about being murdered if you were to come into this apartment?
There you go. That's crucial. That is pretty big. And if she's...
Because, like, you want to get away from the American Psycho, like vibes.
That being said, if they suggest a Funko Pop, end it and walk away.
Fill it up with piss and get going.
And then, yes.
That's what they're for.
And the final step is bisexual streamer lighting.
Yeah.
As we all know.
Or apparently Vivek lighting. Seeing a lot of people compare you to the Elder Scrolls character Vivek.
Because of the blue on one side and the okay. Yeah. I don't know what that means or why.
I also don't know what it means.
But sure. I'll take it. That's cool. That'll do.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year.